Chapter 2439. Seeing Di Chio's action, Emo Qingyun's face turned ugly. Di Chio had touched his bottom line. He didn't want to cause trouble, but that didn't mean he was afraid of it. A small mountain shifter tribe wasn't enough to make him afraid of Di Chio. At most, he would kill Di Chio and leave the heavenly rhinoceros continent. The mountain shifter tribe wouldn't be able to do anything to him. That's enough. If you take the initiative to leave now, I won't bother with you. Looking at Di Chio in front of him, Emo Qingyun's expression was cold as he warned Di Chio. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Di Chio's face turned ugly. He felt very unhappy in his heart. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun, Shi Hong, and the others should be the younger generation of the draconic rhinoceros tribe. With Emo Qingyun's identity, he actually dared to threaten him. This was simply courting death. Brat, I think you're tired of living. How dare you talk to me like this? Di Chio was furious. He glared at Emo Qingyun and said with an arrogant face, I'll tell you clearly. If you still want to live, cripple your own legs and crawl under my crotch again. Noisy! Seeing Di Chio's performance, Emo Qingyun didn't wait for him to finish his words and kicked him. Under Emo Qingyun's kick, Di Chio was immediately sent flying and hit a huge rock. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned. They were frightened by Emo Qingyun's actions. With Di Chio's powerful identity, Emo Qingyun actually dared to make a move on him. It was like a flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple. This brat is in trouble. He's too young and didn't think of the consequences of doing this. Di Chio is too much. It's normal for young people to have trouble controlling their emotions. With the strength of the draconic rhinoceros tribe, it's too difficult to compete with the mountain shifter tribe. The only way to save him now is to become an inner disciple of the heavenly rhinoceros sect. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, everyone couldn't help but worry for him. Seeing that Di Chio was sent flying by Emo Qingyun's kick, his followers were all shocked and hurriedly ran towards him. With the help of his followers, Di Chio stood up with great difficulty. He gloomily glared at Emo Qingyun and roared, Brat, how dare you attack me? I'm going to kill all of you. Seeing Di Chio's reaction, Shi Hong's old face trembled. His heart was in his mouth as he said, Fellow Taoist Emo, you are in big trouble. Before Di Chio's big brother arrives, you should leave quickly. Emo Qingyun knew what Shi Hong meant. He was worried that Di Chio would take revenge on him. Fellow Taoist Shi Tiao, there's no need to worry. It's just a small mountain shifter clan. Emo Qingyun smiled and comforted Shi Hong. He then glanced at Shi Wei and the others and said, Besides, if I leave, what will you do? Won't you take revenge for me? But, hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Shi Hong's expression changed. He was touched. At this time, Emo Qingyun could still think like this. It was really rare. While Emo Qingyun and Shi Hong were talking, Di Chio's face was cold. He shouted to his followers, What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take care of him for me. Yes, young Master Chio. Hearing Di Chio's order, his followers immediately responded and surrounded Emo Qingyun. The followers surrounded Emo Qingyun and cut off Emo Qingyun's escape route. They started to attack Emo Qingyun. Get lost. Looking at the followers attacking him, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold. He raised his hand and waved at them. Then, a terrifying wave of Saint force blasted from Emo Qingyun's palm. Bang bang bang, under Emo Qingyun's attack, the followers were immediately sent flying. They all fell to the ground with serious injuries and spat out blood. This was because Emo Qingyun had held back. Otherwise, they would have all been killed by Emo Qingyun. So strong. Seeing Emo Qingyun's strength, Shi Hong and the other three were stunned. Their eyes were wide open. They really did not expect Emo Qingyun's strength to be so terrifying. It was comparable to the galaxy grade. This kid's strength is so strong. No wonder he is not afraid of Di Chio and the others. Di Chio is not scary. The scary thing is the mountain shifter tribe behind him. Putting the mountain shifter tribe aside, Dichio's elder brother, Denai, is not someone this kid can compete with. Denai has broken through to the galaxy grade. It is said that he is a candidate to enter the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect. While they were shocked by Mo Qingyun's strength, the crowd was still tense. They were worried for Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not care about the reaction of the people around him. After sending Dichio's attendant flying with a wave of his hand, he slowly walked towards Dichio and shouted, "Why aren't you scramming? Do you want me to make a move and send you all out of the Heavenly Bull Mountain?" After witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength, Dichio restrained his arrogance and no longer dared to act arrogantly in front of Mo Qingyun. While Dichio was fuming, the Heavenly Bull Mountain Sect deacon in charge of the registration shouted at Mo Qingyun unhappily, "What are you trying to do? This is the Heavenly Bull Mountain Sect. This is not a place where you can behave atrociously." When Dichio heard this, he was ecstatic. He hurried over to the deacons and said, "Junior Dichio pays his respects to Deacon Ma Kong and Deacon Wang Huan. Thank you for upholding justice for me." Behave atrociously? Mo Qingyun squinted his eyes in the face of Ma Kong and Wang Huan's questioning. He had a disdainful look on his face. He knew very well that Ma Kong and Wang Huan had stood up to protect Dichio. "Kid, what's with your attitude? Are you going to attack the two of us? Let me tell you, the Heavenly Bull Mountain Sect doesn't welcome people like you. Leave immediately." Ma Kong and Wang Huan's faces darkened when they saw Mo Qingyun's expression. They scolded Mo Qingyun coldly. Perhaps they were afraid of Mo Qingyun's strength. Although the two of them were displeased, they did not dare to attack Mo Qingyun. Shi Hong and the others were tense when they saw the situation. They trembled in fear. They had never thought that the situation would develop like this. "You want me to leave?" Mo Qingyun laughed loudly and shook his head at Ma Kong and Wang Huan. He said, "The two of you don't have the right to do that." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his tone changed before the two of them could reply. He shouted, "Moreover, the two of you are really audacious. For the sake of your own selfish desires, you're covering up for others and being unfair to the other candidate. Who gave the two of you the right to do this? If a genius leaves because of this and the Heavenly Bull Mountain Sect blames you in the future, can the two of you bear the consequences?" Chapter 2440. Seeing that Mo Qingyun's words had shocked Ma Kong and Dichio couldn't help but panic a little. If the two retreated, then he wouldn't be able to challenge Mo Qingyun. He would have to leave with his tail between his legs. From Mo Qingyun's actions earlier, he could see that Mo Qingyun was a man of his words. Since Mo Qingyun told him to scram, then he wouldn't change his mind. "Seniors, don't listen to his nonsense. He's just bluffing." Dichio panicked and tried to persuade the two. Then he said, "Which genius in the Heavenly Bull continent isn't famous in the 7 provinces? I've never heard of this brat before. Clearly, he isn't one of them." Hearing Dichio's words, Ma Kong and the other man nodded in agreement. The two of them were in charge of recruiting disciples, so they had already obtained information about some of the more talented juniors. In their memories, there was no information about Mo Qingyun. As a result, Dichio's words were correct. Mo Qingyun was indeed not a genius. If that was the case, they wouldn't have to worry about Mo Qingyun anymore. What a cunning brat! If it wasn't for Dichio's reminder, we would have been fooled by you. Wang Huan's expression turned ugly when he thought that Mo Qingyun wasn't a genius. He immediately reprimanded Mo Qingyun. Seeing Wang Huan's action, Dichio proudly smiled. He raised his chin towards Mo Qingyun and said, "Brat, you have interfered with Seniors Ma Kang's work and hindered the Heavenly Bull Mountain Sect's recruitment. Quickly kneel down and admit your mistake. Ask the two seniors for forgiveness." Dichio's complacent expression became even more intense when he placed a huge accusation on Mo Qingyun's head. In his opinion, Putting this accusation on Mo Qingyun would make it impossible for Mo Qingyun to defend himself. Seeing Di Qiu's proud expression, Mo Qingyun shook his head and asked, "The heavenly bull continent is vast with countless races. There are countless geniuses, how can you be so sure that you know all of them?" Under Mo Qingyun's question, Di Qiu's expression stiffened, and he was at a loss for words. With his shallow experience, how could he be familiar with all the geniuses? Interesting. At this moment, as Mo Qingyun and the young man were facing each other, a voice filled with laughter rang out. When the crowd heard this, they looked towards the source of the voice and felt a sense of curiosity. They really wanted to know who dared to interrupt and meddle in other people's business under such circumstances. Under everyone's gaze, a blue-haired youth slowly walked over with a smile on his face. When the crowd saw the blue-haired youth, they recognized his identity and showed a respectful expression. "That's Fang Han from the Moon Fairy Clan. I didn't expect him to be here." Fang Han is as famous as Chun Zhao and Wu Guobang. He's one of the 3 great heavenly prides of the heavenly bull continent. It's even more interesting now that he's here. I wonder whose side Fang Han will stand on and whose side he will uphold justice for. Seeing the blue-haired youth approaching, the crowd whispered with anticipation on their faces. In their opinion, whoever could gain Fang Han's approval would win this confrontation. "The two of you, the recruitment of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect's disciples is a big matter for the sect. You must handle it impartially." After arriving in front of the two, Fang Han looked at them with a profound gaze and reminded them, "This friend is right. The Heavenly Bull continent is vast with many hidden dragons and crouching tigers. You mustn't judge others based on first impressions. If your actions offend some heavenly prides, it will bring disaster to the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. The consequences aren't something you can bear." Hearing Fang Han's words, the two's expression changed greatly. Cold sweat dripped down their foreheads. If what Fang Han said was true, the consequences would be very terrible. The two of them couldn't afford to bear it. Yes, young Master Fang Han is right. The two were getting more and more afraid. They quickly nodded in agreement with Fang Han with a very humble appearance. Seeing Ma Kong and Li Chie's behavior, everyone's gazes towards them immediately surged with disdain. These two were too snobbish. They were typical bullies who feared the strong and bullied the weak. "You two, everyone is waiting. Don't waste any more time." Seeing that Ma and Kong understood, Fang Han urged them not to waste any more time. Under Fang Han's signal, the two nodded and went back to register everyone. "Thank you, young Master Fang Han." Seeing that Fang Han's words had resolved their crisis, Shi Hong immediately expressed his gratitude. In response to Shi Hong's gratitude, Fang Han smiled faintly and waved his hand saying, "No need to be so polite, it's just a small matter. I don't want to keep waiting here because of your matter." Hearing Fang Han's words, Mo Qingyun's impression of him immediately improved by a few points. Mo Qingyun naturally knew that Fang Han's reason was just a joke. With Fang Han's identity and background, if he wanted to enter the Mountain Skybull sect, he would definitely receive special treatment. There was no need for him to wait like everyone else. While Mo Qingyun was sizing up Fang Han pointed at Di Qiu with his right hand and said politely to Mo Qingyun, "My friend, I have some friendship with Di Nai. Can you not lower yourself to Di Qiu's level for my sake?" When he heard Fang Han's request, Mo Qingyun glanced at Di Qiu and said, "I'll give you some face and not make a fuss about it with him this time. If he dares to offend me again, then don't blame me for being merciless." "Thank you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Fang Han cupped his hands in gratitude and waved to Di Qiu. "Di Qiu, come with me." "Yes." Hearing Fang Han's call, Di Qiu's expression immediately relaxed and he quickly walked behind Fang Han. He knew very well that if he wanted to get rid of Mo Qingyun now, he had to leave with Fang Han. "I'll wait for you in the inner sect." Seeing that Di Qiu had come to his side, Fang Han said something to Emo Qingyun before he turned around and left. Emo Qingyun did not reply to Fang Han's action and only looked at him indifferently. After Fang Han and Di Qiu left, the surroundings returned to peace and everyone patiently registered their identity. Not long after, it was finally Emo Qingyun and the others turned to register their information. "Take out your star seals. I want to make a copy of it." When Ma Kong saw Emo Qingyun and the others approaching, he spoke coldly with a displeased expression. Hearing Ma Kang's words, Emo Qingyun was stunned and a trace of confusion appeared on his face. He asked, "What is a star seal?" "Fellow Taoist Emo, you don't have a star seal?" Shi Hong opened his eyes wide and was stunned by Emo Qingyun's words. Chapter 2441. No. Emo Qingyun shook his head in response to Shi Hong's question and did not try to cover it up. Hearing Emo Qingyun's answer, the surprise on Shi Hong's face immediately became more intense. Emo Qingyun's situation was beyond his expectations. The star seal is a mark to prove one's identity. After a short moment of surprise, Shi Hong explained to Emo Qingyun, under normal circumstances, when one's cultivation breaks through to the nebula realm and communicates with the power of the galaxy, the star seal will be automatically condensed in the body. Is that so? Hearing Shi Hong's explanation, Emo Qingyun was even more puzzled. He clearly remembered that when he broke through to the nebula realm, he did not condense a star seal. Seeing Emo Qingyun's reaction, Wang Huan curled his lips in disdain and mocked. When breaking through to the nebula realm, the body cannot condense a star seal. There is only one possibility. The level of the plane he is in is too low. It is not even a one-star level and cannot communicate with the power of the galaxy. Hearing Wang Huan's explanation, Shi Hong was shocked and felt that it was a little unbelievable. In his knowledge, the lower the level of the plane, the worse the cultivation talent of the people on it. Judging from Emo Qingyun's performance, the cultivation talent he possessed did not seem to be from the starless plane. I see. Compared to Shi Hong's shock, Emo Qingyun looked calm as the doubts in his heart were solved. After speculating Emo Qingyun's origin, Ma Kong looked at Emo Qingyun with strong disdain and said, "Boy, you can't blame us for this. You can't sign up without a star seal and can't participate in the disciple assessment." After hearing Ma Kang's words, Wang Huan glanced at Emo Qingyun and said, "He doesn't even have a star seal and his origin is unknown. He might be a demon from the Blood-Soul galaxy. Boy, tell me honestly, what are you planning to do in the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect?" Emo Qingyun ignored Wang Huan and Ma Kang's attitude. He turned to look at Shi Hong and the rest and said, "Since I can't join the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, I'll bid you farewell." After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not stay any longer and turned to leave. "Young master, take care." Seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to leave, Shi Hong and the others were reluctant to part with Emo Qingyun. When Emo Qingyun turned around to leave, Ma Kong and the other man moved and blocked Emo Qingyun's path. "Get out of my way." Seeing the two's actions, Emo Qingyun frowned and a cold expression appeared on his face. These two people had repeatedly made things difficult for him and had already touched his bottom line. "Brat, if you don't explain your identity, don't even think about leaving here today." "That's right. Obediently accept the sect's investigation. You can only leave after you prove your innocence." Ma Kong and the other man did not take Emo Qingyun's words to heart at all. They scolded him coldly. After Ma Kong and the other man finished speaking, they exchanged glances and attacked Emo Qingyun together. Now that they had a reason to attack, if Emo Qingyun dared to resist, it would show that he had a guilty conscience. As soon as Ma Kong and the other man attacked, they released a powerful aura and blasted out two imposing palm shadows. "You're courting death." Seeing the two's actions, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he blasted out a palm toward them. As Emo Qingyun attacked, a terrifying power of the sun's flame quickly gathered on his palm. Then, the two flaming palm shadows met Ma Kong and the other man's palm shadows. Bang bang, the four palms collided with each other, creating a loud bang and creating a terrifying storm of saint energy. Seeing the saint energy storm coming toward them, the people around them were frightened and retreated. Each of them had a lingering look on their faces. They only had the cultivation of Saint Realm and Nebula Realm. Facing the aftermath of Mo Qingyun and the other two's battle, they had no resistance at all. As the people retreated, Mo Qingyun blasted out two more palms consecutively and blasted Ma Kong and the other man away. Bang bang bang. Ma Kong and the other man flew out and crashed into the mountain gate of the Sky Bull Mountain sect. They crashed into a huge stone pillar. Seeing such a scene, the people around them were shocked and their eyes widened. 1 against 2, and he managed to severely injure Ma Kong and the other man. What powerful strength! With his combat strength, if he enters the Sky Bull Mountain sect, he will quickly become an elite disciple. Ma Kong and the other man are in trouble. If this matter is not handled well, I'm afraid they will be punished severely. Seeing the strength that Mo Qingyun displayed, the people around them were all talking at once. They could not help but worry for Ma Kong and the other man. Just as the people were discussing, a figure flew over at an extremely fast speed, exuding a shocking aura. Ma Kong, Wang Huan, what happened? What was the commotion just now? A gray-haired old man in a python robe questioned Ma Kong and the other man with a displeased expression. Hearing the old man's question, Ma Kong and the other man panicked and quickly said, "Elder Zhou Ping, this kid came to participate in the disciple assessment, but he did not have a star seal in his body. We suspected his identity and wanted him to stay and investigate, but he sneak attacked us." "Oh, there is such a thing?" Hearing Ma Kong and the other man's account, Zhou Ping was surprised. He looked at Mo Qingyun with interest and thought to himself, this kid is only at the early stage of the Nebula Realm. Even if it was a sneak attack, it's still not easy for him to injure Ma Kong and the other man. Sizing up Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping frowned slightly. He was even more curious about Mo Qingyun. Immediately, Zhou Ping's expression turned serious. He said to Mo Qingyun in a deep voice, "Young friend, I don't care who you are, but you have injured my sex people. Shouldn't you give me an explanation?" "Explanation?" Mo Qingyun smiled disdainfully in the face of Zhou Ping's question. He said, "I originally wanted to join your esteemed sect, but these two people made things difficult for me in every possible way. I could only turn around and leave. However, they wanted to forcefully detain me. Can't I resist?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhou Ping could not help but fall silent. He did not know how to answer Mo Qingyun. While Zhou Ping was silent, Mo Qingyun glanced at Ma Kong and the other man and said, "Besides that, I want to clarify that I don't need to launch a sneak attack to deal with the two of them." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not say anything else and turned to leave. It wasn't a sneak attack. Hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Zhou Ping's expression shook, and the shock in his heart grew even stronger. He thought to himself, with his nebula early-stage cultivation, he was actually able to injure Ma Kong and Lu Yi in a direct confrontation. Even elite disciples can't compare to him. This kid is a super genius. I must keep him in the sect. When Zhou Ping thought of this, his expression became excited. He immediately went to Mo Qingyun's side. "You want to attack me too?" Seeing Zhou Ping stop him, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he questioned him with displeasure. Since he had already attacked, there was nothing for him to worry about. At worst, he would fight the Sky Bull Mountain sect. Chapter 2442. Young man, don't be so angry. I don't mean you any harm by stopping you. Zhou Ping did not show any dissatisfaction towards Mo Qingyun's questioning. He smiled and shrugged. Mo Qingyun's expression turned better after hearing Zhou Ping's words. He asked, "Why did you stop me?" I heard you say that you want to join the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect? When he asked Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping's face was filled with anticipation. He looked at Mo Qingyun nervously. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun was a real dragon who could lead the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect to the 9 heavens. Hearing Zhou Ping's question, Mo Qingyun guessed what he was thinking and nodded. Yes, I did say so just now, but I don't have a star seal and my identity is suspicious. Do you still dare to recruit me? Why not? As long as you are willing to join, I dare to recruit you. In response to Mo Qingyun's question, Zhou Ping solemnly promised. The anticipation on his face deepened. Everyone was stunned by Zhou Ping's attitude. They felt that it was unreal. This can't be real, right? The elder came to recruit him personally. He beat up the deacon and the elder came to recruit him personally. That's too awesome. I've decided. When I enter the sect, I must hug this big tree. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were envious as they looked at Mo Qingyun with fervent gazes. Not only that, some of the more quick-witted people looked at Shi Hong and the others meaningfully. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun had a good relationship with Shi Hong and the others. If they could build a relationship with Shi Hong and the others, it would be a good way to get close to Mo Qingyun. Brother Mo, you are indeed a dragon among men. Your actions are indeed extraordinary. Shi Hong was impressed when he saw Zhou Ping personally recruiting Mo Qingyun. He could not help but sigh. Under the admiring gazes of the crowd, Mo Qingyun sized up Zhou Ping before he laughed heartily. Since you dare to recruit me, why would I not dare to join? You have guts. When he saw Mo Qingyun's decision, Zhou Ping laughed heartily. He praised Mo Qingyun and said, In that case, you can follow this old man and directly enter the sect. There is no need to register your identity. After Zhou Ping finished speaking, he waved his sleeve and walked into the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. Seeing Zhou Ping's actions, Mo Qingyun hurriedly followed and walked into the sect with an indifferent expression. When he passed by Shi Hong and the others, Mo Qingyun stopped and said, Everyone, I will enter the sect first. See you later. With that, Mo Qingyun took a step forward and entered the Sky Bull Mountain sect. Alright. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Hong and the others responded and watched as Mo Qingyun left. When Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared, the crowd retracted their gazes and looked at Ma Kong and Shi Hong. At that moment, the crowd looked at Ma Kong and Shi Hong with ridicule and mockery. This time, the two of them had miscalculated. They had completely lost face. Humph. Don't just stand there, continue to register your information. In order to ease his embarrassment, Wang Huan shouted coldly and diverted everyone's attention. Under Wang Huan's cold shout, the crowd did not dare to be distracted and registered their identity. In the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, Qingyun, Ma Kong and Shi Hong were rude just now. Do you want me to teach them a lesson? After chatting with Mo Qingyun for a while, Zhou Ping found out what had happened. He wanted to punish Ma Kong and the other man. In response to Zhou Ping's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head calmly and said, There's no need. They are just two clowns. I don't want to lower myself to their level. If they don't know what's good for them, I won't hold back. I hope you can understand when the time comes. Haha, if that's the case, I won't interfere. Knowing Mo Qingyun's thoughts, Zhou Ping smiled faintly and did not continue speaking. As Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun chatted as they walked, they arrived at a huge plaza. At that moment, the square was filled with people. There were elders and disciples of the Sky Bull Mountain sect, and also disciples who were here to participate in the assessment. Greetings, Elder. Elder Zhou Ping, why are you here? The disciples and elders of the Sky Bull Mountain sect all greeted Zhou Ping when they saw him arrive. Zhou Ping nodded in response to the disciple before walking over to the elder's side. He pointed at Mo Qingyun and said, Elder Wu Feng, Elder Xiao Guan, I've come to look for the two of you because I want to recommend someone to participate in our sect's disciple test. Oh, The two of them were surprised when they heard Zhou Ping's words. They studied Mo Qingyun curiously. With their understanding of Zhou Ping, he did not recommend people often. Mo Qingyun must be extraordinary for him to value him so highly. Since it's elder Zhou Ping's recommendation, there's naturally no problem. After sizing up Mo Qingyun, Wu Feng and the other man withdrew their gazes and replied politely, "The disciple entrance examination is about to begin. Please wait for a moment." "All right." Mo Qingyun nodded. His face was calm as he stood in the same spot. His demeanor was indifferent. Wu Feng and Xiao Guan nodded in appreciation when they saw Mo Qingyun's performance. They acknowledged Mo Qingyun even more. From this point, it could be seen that Mo Qingyun was indeed extraordinary. He did not want to use Zhou Ping's identity to enter the Sky Bull Mountain sect. Mo Qingyun did not care about Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's thought. His eyes swept across the square aimlessly. Mo Qingyun saw Feng Han and Xiao Guan and nodded at Feng Han. Interesting. He's actually familiar with Elder Zhou Ping. He's indeed not an ordinary person. Feng Han nodded in response to Mo Qingyun's gaze and smiled with interest. Di Qiu, who was standing beside Feng Han, was immediately shocked when he heard Feng Han's words. He said worriedly, "I didn't expect him to know Elder Zhou Ping. This is going to be troublesome. It won't be easy to deal with him in the future." Di Qiu furrowed his brows when he thought of this. No one knew what he was thinking. Everyone spent the rest of the time waiting. Some familiar faces chatted with each other. After chatting with Wu Feng and Xiao Guan, Zhou Ping briefly told them what had just happened. What? He injured Ma Kong and Xiao Guan in a head-on confrontation? No wonder Elder Zhou Ping thinks so highly of him. It seems like this person is not simple. It seems like we worried too much. He's a real dragon. After knowing about Mo Qingyun's achievements, Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's gazes changed again. If one were to observe carefully, they would notice that Wu Feng and the other man's gazes were filled with anticipation. Chapter 2443. Not long after, the people who had registered in front of the mountain gate all came to the square. As everyone arrived, Wu Feng stood up from his chair and explained some of the rules of the assessment. "Everyone, please be quiet. Before the assessment begins, I will first explain the assessment criteria." Wu Feng put his hands behind his back with a solemn expression and shouted to the crowd. He then said, "The assessment criteria for this time will mainly be carried out in three aspects: bloodline, bone age, and Saint Power star cluster. As for the measurement of bone age, if the bone age of an outer court disciple is over 1,000 years old, he will not be qualified. If the bone age of an inner court disciple is over 10,000 years old, he will not be qualified. As for the measurement of bloodline, we will use a blood testing stone. During the testing process, the blood testing stone will emit a 7-colored light, which is red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Red is the lowest, purple is the highest, and green is the lowest. The last test, Saint Power star cluster, is relatively simple. If the number of Saint Power star clusters is less than 2,000, he will not be qualified. As Wu Feng continued to talk, he explained some of the criteria and rules of the assessment one by one. Hearing Wu Feng's words, everyone immediately whispered to each other. Some people looked nervous and disappointed. Obviously, their aptitude was not up to par. Perhaps they were hoping for a fluke and knew that they were not talented enough, but these people did not take the initiative to leave. I have finished explaining some of the criteria for the assessment. Now, the assessment will officially begin. After explaining the criteria for the assessment, Wu Feng condensed a handprint and hit an ancient tree in the center of the square. As the handprint landed on the ancient tree emitted a green light and extended 2 long branches. The 2 branches stretched out like 2 hands, swaying naturally. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he looked at the ancient tree curiously. Now I will start to call out names. Those who are called by me will walk to the front of the divine bone-touching tree. Wu Feng activated the ancient tree. With a solemn expression on his face, he took out a beast-skin scroll and said, "Although all of you may have come from different planes, and the rules for calculating bone age are different, the bone age measured by the divine bone tree is the most fair. You do not need to worry about this." Zhang Qingbi. Under Wu Feng's call, a thin young man walked out from the crowd. Zhang Qingbi walked to the foot of the divine bone-touching tree, and the two human-shaped branches began to caress his body. After a while, the bone-touching divine tree retracted its branches, and some words appeared on its main trunk. Bone age, 897. Zhang Qingbi, bone age 897 years old, qualified. Seeing Zhang Qingbi's bone age, Wu Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. He pointed to an empty space at the side and said, "Wait there first. Once everyone has completed the bone age test, we will begin the second blood test." "Yes." Zhang Qingbi nodded and walked to the open space, waiting for the others to take the test. After Zhang Qingbi's test ended, Wu Feng didn't waste any time and immediately called out the names of the others. Next Wu Sun. Next Qing Enshuo. Under Wu Feng's name, the age of each participant's bone was tested one after another. Due to the basic requirements of the assessment, everyone understood them in advance, so most of them passed. Some of the people who failed the test left the square immediately after the results were out. Last, Mo Qingyun. After an unknown period of time, it was finally Mo Qingyun's turn. Seeing that Wu Feng called him, Mo Qingyun walked toward the divine bone-touching tree with a curious expression on his face. According to Wu Feng's explanation, the bone age test standards were different in different planes. He wondered what his bone age would be under the divine bone-touching tree's test. When Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the divine bone-touching tree, it stretched out its branches and caressed his body. Bone age, 39 years old. After a while, some numbers appeared on the divine bone-touching tree's trunk. When the crowd saw these numbers, they were all stunned. They couldn't believe it was real. "I didn't see wrongly, right? His bone age is only 39 years old. There must be a mistake. He's a Nebula Realm cultivator. How can his bone age be so young?" With Fang Han's terrifying talent, his bone age is also over 3,000 years old. This can't be real. Cheating, he must be cheating. Seeing Mo Qingyun's bone age, everyone was skeptical. They couldn't believe it was real. Mo Qingyun's test results were too shocking. It was completely beyond common sense. 339 years old. While everyone was shocked, Fang Han was also shocked. He exclaimed, "His bone age is only 1% of mine. If this is true, his cultivation talent is too terrifying. No, impossible, this must be fake." Seeing Mo Qingyun's test results, Di Qiu was so scared that his face turned pale. His body trembled. In his opinion, the higher Mo Qingyun's cultivation talent was, the worse his situation would be. Brother Mo is only 39 years old? After knowing Mo Qingyun's bone age, Shi Hong and the others were stunned. They felt that their brains were not enough to process it. Although they guessed that Mo Qingyun's talent was extraordinary from Mo Qingyun's performance, this result was still too shocking. Elder Zhou Ping, seeing the test results of the divine bone-touching tree, Wu Feng and Xiao Guan stood up in shock and stared at Zhou Ping. They were also shocked. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun was recommended by Zhou Ping, so Zhou Ping should be able to explain this situation. Zhou Ping acted as if he didn't see Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's shocked gaze. He said with a face full of fear, "Fortunately, we left him behind. If he went to other sects, he would be a nightmare for our Heavenly Bull Mountain sect." After saying that, Zhou Ping's face darkened. He said angrily, "Ma Kong and Wang Huan, these two idiots, they really did a good thing. They almost caused the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect to be doomed. I must punish them later. Thinking of this, Zhou Ping looked at Wu Feng and Xiao Guan. He smiled proudly and asked, Elder Wu Feng, Elder Xiao Guan, the person I recommended to you, his talent is not bad, right? Not bad? Hearing Zhou Ping's question, Wu Feng and Xiao Guan smiled bitterly. They didn't know how to express their feelings. If this was only not bad, then there were no geniuses. Elder Zhou Ping, you are too dishonest. Why didn't you tell us the truth? That's right. The results of the test really scared us. After calming down, Wu Feng and Xiao Guan smiled bitterly and reprimanded Zhou Ping. Zhou Ping didn't care about Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's words. He smiled and said expectantly, Let's not talk too much. Let's start the second round of testing. I can't wait to know his bloodline grade. I'm also looking forward to it. Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Wu Feng and Xiao Guan immediately nodded. Their eyes were also filled with anticipation. Chapter 2444. Zhou Ping and the other two exchanged a few words. Xiao Guan walked to the front and quickly formed a handprint. Xiao Guan waved his arm and unleashed a palm seal, blasting it into a blood-colored boulder. Then, the blood-red boulder emitted a dazzling light. First one, Zhang Qingbi. After activating the blood-testing stone, Xiao Guan raised his hand and took out the name list of those who advanced to the second round. He said, Walk to the blood-testing stone and drip a drop of blood on it. It will test your bloodline grade. Hearing Xiao Guan's name, Zhang Qingbi immediately walked out of the crowd and walked toward the blood-testing stone. He was the first one to pass the bone age test and successfully passed the test. Now that he was the first in the second round, he quickly attracted everyone's attention. Under everyone's gaze, Zhang Qingbi walked to the blood-testing stone and dripped a drop of blood on it. As the blood dripped onto the blood-testing stone, the blood-testing stone emitted a dazzling light and a shocking bloodline power. Then, the color of the red blood-testing stone started to change rapidly. Red, orange, yellow, the color kept changing. Looking at the color change of the blood test stone, everyone's expression became tense. Their eyes were fixed on the blood test stone. After a while, under everyone's nervous gaze, the color of the blood testing stone stopped changing. It was between green and green. Although it did not reach green, it showed that Zhang Qingbi passed the test again. I passed. Seeing that her bloodline had reached the green level, Zhang Qingbi was pleasantly surprised. The number of Saint Power star clusters that he had condensed had reached 2,400. He knew this very well. In this way, he had passed all the outer disciple tests of the Sky Bull Mountain sect. After Zhang Qingbi's test, Xiao Guan began to call the names of the others. Next, Wu Xiong failed the test. Next, Shuang failed the test. A few people had failed in a row, making the atmosphere a little tense. It seemed that it was still very difficult to pass the bloodline test. Next, Di Qiu. After some time, it was Di Qiu's turn to take the test. Seeing that his name was called, Di Qiu arrogantly raised his head and walked toward the blood-testing stone. Di Qiu came to the blood-testing stone. He forced out a drop of blood and dripped it on the blood-testing stone. As Di Qiu's blood dripped down, the blood-testing stone shone brightly, making it impossible for people to look straight at it. Seeing this scene, the complacent expression on Di Qiu's face became even more intense. He knew very well that the stronger the light from the blood-testing stone, the higher the grade of his bloodline. After a short while, the light from the blood-testing stone faded, and the blood-testing stone turned light blue. Seeing the grade of his bloodline, the pride on Di Qiu's face became even stronger. Then, he turned to look at Emo Qingyun with a provocative look in his eyes. Emo Qingyun ignored Di Qiu's provocative gaze as he silently thought to himself, from the aura of Di Qiu's bloodline, the power of the Mountain Shifter tribe's bloodline is only slightly stronger than the absolute beginning creation bloodline. If such a bloodline can reach the blue level, then my absolute beginning creation dark bloodline must be at the purple level. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of his bloodline grade. After testing his bloodline grade, Di Qiu arrogantly raised his chin and slowly walked back to his seat. As expected of a member of the Mountain Shifter tribe, the grade of his bloodline is indeed powerful. Among the people present, only Fang Han's bloodline can be compared to Di Qiu's. The Moon Fairy tribe is ranked higher than the Mountain Shifter tribe, and Fang Han's bloodline is extremely dense. He might even reach the purple level. This kind of innate talent is really enviable. Seeing Di Qiu's test results, some people whispered among themselves, their words filled with envy. While everyone was envious, Di Qiu's passing of the test also gave them some confidence. Next, Luo Hu qualified. Next, Chun Fan qualified. Next, Zhou Ran failed. Next, the tests were carried out one by one. Some passed while others failed. After a few hours, the second round of the Outer Disciple test was over. After the Outer Disciple test was over, Xiao Guan said to everyone. His gaze fell on Fang Han and he said, "Next, it's the Inner Disciple test. First, Fang Han." It's finally Fang Han's turn. I wonder what his bloodline grade is. It should be the purple level. No matter what, he will definitely pass. Seeing Fang Han walk to the blood testing stone, everyone whispered among themselves, their expressions becoming extremely excited. Under everyone's gaze, Fang Han forced out a drop of blood and dripped it on the blood testing stone. Then, the blood testing stone shone brighter than the light that Di Qiu had caused. It could be seen that his bloodline grade was higher than Di Qiu's. After a while, the light slowly faded, revealing the color of the blood testing stone. Just as everyone had guessed, Fang Han's bloodline grade had reached the purple level. Fang Han was not surprised by his bloodline grade. He calmly returned to his seat. Time passed bit by bit as the others continued to take their tests. Next, Mo Qingyun. After some time, it was finally Mo Qingyun's turn to take the test. Seeing Mo Qingyun walk out of the crowd, the surrounding people's expressions immediately became tense. It's his turn to take the test. I wonder what his result will be. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it will be too bad. It will at least be blue level. After all, his cultivation speed is there. That's not necessarily true. He doesn't even have a star seal. This means that his plane is low, and his bloodline shouldn't be too strong. Watching Mo Qingyun walk towards the blood testing stone, the crowd whispered to each other, forming two different opinions. While everyone was whispering, Di Qiu's face was as black as ink. He said coldly, "Humph, even if your cultivation talent is fast, it doesn't mean that your bloodline grade is high. If your bloodline grade is not up to standard, you won't be able to enter the Skybowl Mountain sect." Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun walked to the blood testing stone and dripped a drop of blood on it. Then, the blood testing stone shone brightly and shook violently. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They could not believe what they were seeing. The blood testing stone's reaction was too intense. What a chaotic aura! Sensing the blood testing stone's aura, Mo Qingyun frowned and quickly retreated. As Mo Qingyun was retreating, a loud sound came from the front. The blood testing stone had exploded. Seeing this sudden change, he couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. What was going on? Chapter 2445. The blood testing stone exploded? Like Mo Qingyun, the others were shocked when they saw the blood testing stone explode. As far as he could remember, he had never heard of such a situation before. How dare you destroy the blood testing stone? You'll be punished. Seeing that the blood testing stone had exploded, Di Qiu immediately revealed a complacent expression, taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. In his opinion, Wu Feng and the others would not tolerate Mo Qingyun's actions. Unlike Di Qiu, Fang Han couldn't help but frown when he saw this scene. The aura of his bloodline just now made me feel that his bloodline is not flowing smoothly. Could it be that the explosion of the blood-testing stone was because his bloodline is too strong? Fang Han's expression changed when he thought of this. He looked at Emo Qingyun in shock. If that was the case, it was a little scary. Gentlemen, the blood-testing stone is broken. Why don't we test it again? Seeing the blood-testing stone explode, Zhou Ping had a bitter smile on his face as he suggested to Wu Feng. He was the one who had recommended Emo Qingyun. Now that such a situation had occurred, he was also helpless. Hearing Zhou Ping's suggestion, Wu Feng and Zhou Ping exchanged a look and nodded in agreement. It was their first time encountering such a situation. They were caught off guard. Wu Feng was stunned for a moment. He walked to the front and said, "Due to the problem with the blood-testing stone, I'll get a new one. Please wait for a moment." As soon as Wu Feng finished speaking, he gave Xiao Guan a look and went to get a new blood-testing stone. After receiving Wu Feng's signal, Xiao Guan didn't hesitate and immediately went to retrieve the blood test stone. After a short while, Xiao Guan, who had gone to retrieve the blood test stone, placed the new blood test stone in the square. Emo Qingyun tested again. Seeing that the new blood test stone had been brought over, Wu Feng had a solemn expression on his face as he instructed Emo Qingyun. Hearing Wu Feng's words, Emo Qingyun didn't think too much about it and dripped another drop of blood onto the blood-testing stone. Dong dong dong. As the blood dripped onto the blood-testing stone, the blood-testing stone shook violently. The situation was exactly the same as before. Seeing this scene, Emo Qingyun didn't dare hesitate in the slightest. He immediately retreated. Bang! When Emo Qingyun retreated 1,000 meters, the blood-testing stone exploded again and turned into pieces of gravel. Seeing this scene, the surroundings instantly quieted down. Everyone looked at each other. They did not know whether to laugh or cry. The blood-testing stone exploded again. It exploded again. This kid did it on purpose. This is interesting. He exploded 2 blood-testing stones in a row. I'm afraid he won't be able to explain himself. Blood-testing stones are very rare. This kid will lose his family fortune. After a brief moment of shock, everyone began to whisper to each other, feeling some sympathy for Emo Qingyun. Of course, they had such thoughts because they did not detect the grade of Emo Qingyun's bloodline. Otherwise, they would not think this way. This kid is finished. He destroyed 2 blood-testing stones in a row. The elder will not let him go. Seeing another blood-testing stone being destroyed, Di Qiu's complacent expression became even more intense. While Di Qiu was feeling complacent, Fang Han stood up and said with a shocked expression, "It seems that my guess was right. The blood-testing stone exploded because his bloodline is too powerful. What kind of bloodline is it?" At this moment, Fang Han's interest in Emo Qingyun rose to the peak. It seems that there is no need to test anymore. His bloodline is too powerful. The low-grade blood-testing stone can't detect it. After 2 blood-testing stones exploded in a row, Wu Feng finally understood the reason for the explosions. When Wu Feng said this, his face was full of smiles. He did not feel the pain of wasting 2 blood-testing stones. That's right. If you want to test his bloodline, you have to use the Divine Longhorn Sect's mid-grade blood-testing stone. Hearing Wu Feng's words, Xiao Guan immediately nodded and smiled faintly. Elder Zhou Ping, you really have a discerning eye. You have actually discovered this genius. This is a great contribution to the sect. Haha, I am also very surprised. I did not expect this kid to be so monstrous. Hearing Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's words, Zhou Ping immediately laughed proudly. His heart was filled with joy. If he had not made Emo Qingyun stay and caused Emo Qingyun to leave in anger, the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect would have been in trouble. With Emo Qingyun's terrifying talent, he would become a terrifying existence in thousands of years. When that time came, even the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect would not be able to take revenge on him. After all, the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect still had many enemies on the Divine Wood continent. They were happy to see such a situation. Seeing that Mo Qingyun's bloodline grade could not be tested by the low-grade blood testing stone, Wu Feng was not willing to persist. He smiled faintly and said, "After seeing Mo Qingyun's performance in the first 2 rounds, I am looking forward to the number of Saint Force star clusters that he has." Hearing Wu Feng's words, Zhou Ping and Xiao Guan nodded. Their eyes were also filled with anticipation. We already know the reason for the blood testing stone's explosion. Wu Feng and the other 2 conversed for a while. Wu Feng said to everyone, "The reason for the blood testing stone's explosion is that Mo Qingyun's bloodline is too powerful. It has exceeded the blood testing stone's tolerance. Therefore, Mo Qingyun's bloodline grade should be beyond purple." It was a grade beyond purple. Hearing Wu Feng's words, some people who did not know the situation were all stunned. "This can't be true, right? Isn't purple the best? I did not expect his bloodline power to be stronger than Fang Han's. This is unbelievable. From the looks of it, not only will he not be punished, but he will also be nurtured by the sect. This is the benefit of having powerful talent. He will always receive special treatment." Everyone looked at Mo Qingyun with eyes full of awe and envy. Hearing the words of the people around him, Di Qiu's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, "How could this be? This brat destroyed 2 blood testing stones in a row and is actually fine. Instead, he even received the approval of the elders." Di Qiu couldn't accept this result. Sure enough, seeing Wu Feng's attitude, Fang Han nodded. He wasn't surprised at all as he said, "His appearance might cause an earth-shaking change in the Heavenly Bull sect and the Heavenly Bull continent." Fang Han muttered to himself and closed his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Dao Friend Mo's talent has reached such a terrifying level. This is unbelievable. After learning about Mo Qingyun's bloodline grade, Shi Hong's face was filled with shock. He was unable to comprehend it for a long time. After calming down, a smile appeared on Shi Hong's face. He said, "This is also good. The higher Dao Friend Mo's talent is, the more respected his position in the sect will be. He will also be able to take care of Shi Wei and the others so that they won't be bullied by Di Qiu." Chapter 2446. Everyone, please be quiet. The 3rd round of assessment will begin now. After announcing Mo Qingyun's assessment results, Wu Feng did not want to waste any more time and immediately began the 3rd round of assessment. Hearing Wu Feng's words, everyone tensed up and waited for Wu Feng to call them out. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there was an obvious difference in the expressions of these people. Some people's faces were filled with confidence, while others' faces were filled with nervousness. It was obvious that they had guessed their own result. Even so, those who did not have enough Saint Power star clusters did not choose to give up and leave immediately. They wanted to take a gamble and see if they could be specially recruited. This was because such cases had happened before. Some people had been specially recruited before. For example, the number of Saint Power star clusters had a lot to do with the cultivation level of a saint. Therefore, the final result could only be determined after a comprehensive evaluation. First, Zhang Qingbi. After announcing the start of the 3rd round of assessment, Wu Feng took out the name list of those who had advanced and announced a name. As Zhang Qingbi was the first to take the assessment in the first 2 rounds, she was still the first in the 3rd round. Yes. Hearing Wu Feng's name, Zhang Qingbi walked to the center of the square and released her Saint Power star cluster. Then, a shocking aura erupted from Zhang Qingbi's body. At the same time, Saint Power star clusters appeared around Zhang Qingbi. A total of 1,746. You passed the 3rd round of assessment. Seeing the number of Saint Power star clusters that Zhang Qingbi had, Wu Feng nodded in agreement and announced her assessment result. Hearing Wu Feng's words, Zhang Qingbi smiled brightly and walked to the side slowly. Next, Xia Hui. 1,953 pass. Next, Chen Sun. 1,856 qualified. Next, Wu Ruan. 920 failed. Following behind Zhang Qingbi, one by one, they released their Saint Power star clusters. During this period, some passed and some failed. After an unknown period of time, a mid-Saint realm cultivator released his Saint Power star cluster. Due to her low cultivation level, she only had 786 Saint Power star clusters. Guo'ing, with your cultivation level in the intermediate Saint state and this number of Saint Power star clusters, you passed the assessment. Considering Guoying's situation, Wu Feng pondered for a moment before announcing Guoying's assessment results. Hearing the results announced by Wu Feng, Guo'ing was immediately overjoyed. His expression became excited. Even though he had heard of exceptional admissions before, he was still pleasantly surprised to encounter one himself. Guoying's success in passing the test filled many people in the same situation with anticipation. Following that, a few more people passed the test like Guoying. Unknowingly, an hour had passed, and all the Sage Realm cultivators had finished their assessment. Next, it's the inner disciple assessment. Wu Feng looked at Emo Qingyun and the others and said, "First, Fang Han." Yes. Hearing Wu Feng's name, Fang Han slowly walked out of the crowd and walked to the center of the square. Then, a cold aura was released from Fang Han's body. When this aura appeared, Saint Power star clusters that looked like ice balls appeared beside Fang Han. 5,329. There are actually more than 5,000 of them. This is too terrifying. More than 3,000 and he can be called a genius. Fang Han is indeed one of the top 3 prodigies of the Heavenly Bull continent. With more than 5,000 Saint Power star clusters, he can be called a genius in the 2-star plane. Seeing the number of Saint Power star clusters that Fang Han had, everyone was in awe. They admired Fang Han even more. While everyone was in shock, Wu Feng showed a bright smile and nodded in appreciation. He smiled and said, "Fang Han, Saint Power star cluster, 5,329. You passed the assessment." Hearing Wu Feng's announcement, Fang Han stood up and returned to his seat. Next, the others followed behind Fang Han and took the assessment one after another. Next, it was Emo Qingyun. After some time, it was finally Emo Qingyun's turn. Hearing Wu Feng calling his name, Emo Qingyun walked to the center of the square and released his Saint Power star cluster. As Emo Qingyun released his Saint Power star cluster, a terrifying flame energy erupted from his body. Under the influence of Emo Qingyun's flame energy, some of the saints around were immediately pushed back. What a terrifying flame energy! Under this flame energy I feel like I can't breathe. This flame energy is even stronger than Fang Han's. Could it be that he has more Saint Power star clusters? You guessed it right. He does have more Saint Power star clusters than Fang Han. 7,000. He has 7,000 Saint Power star clusters. Seeing the number of Saint Power star clusters that Emo Qingyun had, the surrounding people were shocked. Those who had 3,000 Saint Power star clusters could be called a genius. One could imagine how terrifying 7,000 Saint Power star clusters were. They didn't know that this was because Emo Qingyun was holding back. Emo Qingyun really had 20,000 Saint Power star clusters. If Emo Qingyun released all of his Saint Power star clusters, they would be scared silly. 7,000. This can't be true. Seeing the number of Saint Power star clusters that Emo Qingyun had, Di Qiu was immediately stunned. His face was filled with bitterness as he said, "My elder brother only has 5,600 Saint Power star clusters. He has more than 1,000 more than my elder brother." The current situation was a huge blow to Di Qiu. Originally, he wanted to use Di Nai's name to suppress Emo Qingyun. Now, it seemed like his plan was going to fail. More than 7,000. Looking at the Saint Power star clusters outside Emo Qingyun's body, Fang Han was shocked. He smiled bitterly and said, Compared to him, my title as a genius seems like a joke. Was it a mistake for me to come to the Skybowl Mountain sect this time? At this moment, Fong Han couldn't help but doubt himself. Originally, he thought that he could be in the limelight in the Skybowl Mountain sect's disciple assessment this time. He didn't expect to meet Mo Qingyun and be suppressed everywhere. The difference in mentality was too uncomfortable. 7,000. This kid is really a monster. I've struck it rich this time. Seeing the number of Saint Power star clusters that Mo Qingyun had, Zhou Ping immediately stood up in shock. His face was filled with shock. Previously, he had guessed that Mo Qingyun was very talented. However, he didn't expect it to be so terrifying. While Zhou Ping was pleasantly surprised, the fear in his heart grew stronger. With Mo Qingyun's talent, if he ran to an enemy sect, it would absolutely be a very frightening thing. Chapter 2447. Congratulations, Elder Zhou Ping. You have recruited Mo Qingyun this time. The sect will definitely reward you handsomely. Wu Feng and Xiao Guan were envious as they looked at Mo Qingyun in the middle of the square. They quickly congratulated Zhou Ping. They knew very well that the Heavenly Bull Divine sect would take Mo Qingyun's talent seriously if they reported it. After all, with Mo Qingyun's talent, he was a demon-like existence even in the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. Haha, I didn't expect his talent to be so demon-like. Hearing Wu Feng and Xiao Guan's envious words, Zhou Ping laughed heartily to express the joy in his heart. Mo Qingyun's talent had indeed exceeded his expectations. After exchanging a few words with Zhou Ping, Wu Feng looked at Mo Qingyun with admiration. He smiled faintly and said, "Nephew Mo Qingyun has 7,000 Saint Energy Star clusters. Your talent is outstanding. You have passed the assessment." Hearing Wu Feng's address, some of the more attentive people immediately realized that something was wrong. From this, it could be seen that Wu Feng's attitude towards Mo Qingyun had undergone a drastic change. Wu Feng's current action was clearly showing goodwill towards Mo Qingyun. "Elder, you flatter me." Mo Qingyun nodded humbly in response to Wu Feng's words. He didn't reveal any changes in his emotions. He thought to himself that if he released all of the Saint Power star clusters, Wu Feng would definitely be frightened. Mo Qingyun replied and walked to Zhou Ping's side, waiting for Zhou Ping's instructions. "Qingyun, since the assessment is over, let's leave first." Seeing Mo Qingyun come to his side, Zhou Ping didn't want to stay any longer. He stood up and said to Mo Qingyun. After speaking to Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping turned to Wu Feng and Xiao Guan and said, "Elder Wu Feng, Elder Xiao Guan, I will take my leave first. Let's meet again at my residence another day. Let me treat you well." "Elder Zhou Ping, take care. The two of us will definitely go another day." Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Wu Feng and the other man immediately responded politely. In their opinion, Zhou Ping's current actions were to befriend the two of them. More importantly, they could establish a relationship with Mo Qingyun by befriending Zhou Ping. After bidding farewell to Wu Feng and Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping and Mo Qingyun left the center of the square. "Qingyun, come with me to see the sect leader first, then I'll arrange your accommodations." As they left the square, Zhou Ping told Mo Qingyun that he would lead the way. Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment before he understood. With the talent he displayed, attracting Zhou Ping's attention was also a very normal thing. After understanding this, Mo Qingyun calmly followed behind Zhou Ping. Not long after, Mo Qingyun arrived at a large hall under Zhou Ping's guidance. Inside the large hall, many people were seated with furrowed brows, as if they were discussing something. "I heard that a powerhouse from the Blood Soul Galaxy has attacked several continents near us. That powerhouse from the Blood Soul Galaxy has already reached the Celestial Domain grade. I'm afraid we won't be able to deal with him. This matter has already been reported to the Divine Heavenly Bull sect. They will send people over very soon." The people from the Blood Soul Galaxy are getting more and more arrogant. They actually came to cause trouble openly. As Emo Qingyun walked into the large hall, he overheard everyone's conversation. Emo Qingyun was stunned when he heard these people's words. He immediately understood the reason for this matter. If I'm not mistaken, the powerhouse from the Blood Soul Galaxy that these people are talking about should be the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness. After learning about the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness, Emo Qingyun didn't panic. Instead, he was looking forward to it. He really wanted to see how the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness would deal with the powerhouses of the Divine Heavenly Bull sect when they arrived. Greetings, Sect Master. As Emo Qingyun pondered this, Zhou Ping arrived at the center of the large hall and bowed before the old man at the top of the hall. Upon hearing Zhou Ping's words, Emo Qingyun also cupped his hands and greeted everyone in the large hall. Disciple Emo Qingyun pays his respects to the sect master and the various elders. Upon seeing Zhou Ping's arrival, the sect master of the Divine Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, Iron Rhino, glanced at Emo Qingyun curiously and asked, Elder Zhou Ping, why have you brought an inner sect disciple here? In Iron Rhino's opinion, Zhou Ping bringing Emo Qingyun over should have something to do with Emo Qingyun. Seeing that Iron Rhino directly asked about Emo Qingyun, Zhou Ping looked at Emo Qingyun with admiration and said, Palace Master, Qingyun is the one with the best talent in this disciple assessment. His bone age is only 39 years old, and his bloodline is so powerful that the blood testing stone can't detect it. His Saint Energy Star Cluster has reached 7,000. Upon hearing Zhou Ping's words, everyone in the large hall was dumbfounded. Their eyes widened in shock. What? He has only cultivated for 39 years and his cultivation has reached the Nebula Realm? His bloodline is so powerful that the blood testing stone can't detect it? There's such a thing? Even the most talented disciple in the Divine Heavenly Bull sect doesn't have 7,000 Saint Energy Star Clusters, right? Upon hearing about Emo Qingyun's situation, all the elders in the large hall were shocked. Phew! While everyone was shocked, Iron Rhino took a deep breath and calmed himself down. At this moment, he finally understood why Zhou Ping was in a hurry to see him. If it was really as Zhou Ping said, Emo Qingyun's talent was a little scary. If that's the case, activate your bloodline power and release the Saint Energy Star Cluster for us to see. Iron Rhino had an expectant expression as he instructed Emo Qingyun. He wanted to see if Zhou Ping's words were true. It couldn't be helped. Zhou Ping was too exaggerated. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he would find it hard to believe. All right. Upon hearing Iron Rhino's request, Emo Qingyun nodded and did as Iron Rhino said. Following that, a terrifying bloodline power was released from Emo Qingyun's body. When this bloodline power erupted, a terrifying flame power also spread out in the large hall. Sensing these two powers, Iron Rhino and the others in the large hall were all stunned. Zhou Ping's words were true. Emo Qingyun's talent was just as he said. Hiss. It's actually as Zhou Ping said. After confirming Emo Qingyun's talent, Iron Rhino sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes were filled with astonishment. At the same time, the way he looked at Emo Qingyun had also changed. After carefully sizing up Emo Qingyun, Iron Rhino gritted his teeth and made a huge decision. He said in a deep voice, Elder Jiang Yang, immediately announced that our sect will make an exception to promote Emo Qingyun to an elite disciple. Yes. Hearing Iron Rhino's order, Jiang Yang immediately responded and left to announce the news of Emo Qingyun's promotion. Zhou Ping and the others didn't find Iron Rhino's decision strange. They all nodded in agreement. Chapter 2448. Thank you, Sect Master. Emo Qingyun cupped his fists gratefully after seeing Iron Rhino's action. His attitude was neither servile nor overbearing. Emo Qingyun's performance immediately made Iron Rhinoceros and the others' impression of him rise by several notches. Not bad, not bad. Iron Rhino nodded approvingly and pointed to the side. Elder Zhou Ping, you and Emo Qingyun don't need to stand there, sit down and talk. Yes. Emo Qingyun and Iron Rhino nodded and found a place to sit down. When he saw Emo Qingyun sit down, Iron Rhino withdrew his gaze and said in a deep voice, "Previously, I was worried that Chen Zhao and Wu Guobang would fall behind in the competition for the Heavenly Bull inheritance after going to the Sky Wind sect and the Azure Cloud Sword sect. Now that Emo Qingyun has joined the sect, I can put down this worry." Hearing this, Zhou Ping and the others nodded with a faint smile on their face. Whether it was Chen Zhao or Wu Guobang, their talents were not worth mentioning in front of Emo Qingyun. Counting the time, there is only 1 month left until the Heavenly Bull inheritance opens. Zhou Ping's expression changed after hearing Iron Rhino mention the Heavenly Bull inheritance. He began to calculate the time. After being reminded by Zhou Ping, the faces of Tai Shi and the others changed, and their expressions became heavy. 1 month is too short. It would be great if there were a few years left. We can only wait for the next one. Iron Rhino couldn't help but sigh after knowing the time of the Heavenly Bull inheritance. Hearing the conversation of Iron Rhinoceros and the others, Emo Qingyun revealed a curious look, developing some interest in the Heavenly Bull inheritance. However, due to his identity, Emo Qingyun didn't ask right away. He planned to slowly find out later. There was still more than a month before the Heavenly Bull inheritance opens. It was enough for him to slowly gather information. After everyone talked about the Heavenly Bull inheritance for a while, Iron Rhino became curious. He turned to Emo Qingyun and said, "Emo Qingyun, if I'm not wrong, you shouldn't be from the Heavenly Bull continent. Tell us about your background." Hearing Iron Rhino's words, Zhou Ping and the others were curious. "Alright." Hearing Iron Rhino's request, Emo Qingyun nodded in agreement and began to explain his identity. Following Emo Qingyun's continuous narration, the expressions on the faces of Tai Shi and the rest became more and more shocked. They didn't expect that the continent Emo Qingyun was from didn't even have 1 star. No wonder Emo Qingyun did not condense a star seal when he broke through to the Nebula realm. It's hard to imagine that the continent you were born in is so barren. He looked at Emo Qingyun with even more approval. But this way, it can even show your talent and perseverance. It's not something ordinary people can compare to. Emo Qingyun did not defend himself against Iron Rhino's evaluation. He just sat calmly to the side. Understanding Emo Qingyun's background, the misgivings in Iron Rhinoceros's heart also reduced greatly because of this. Emo Qingyun wasn't from the Blood Soul Galaxy, so other than that, it didn't matter. As for whether Emo Qingyun was lying or not, he wasn't worried at all. He would send someone to the Wild Continent to investigate. "Qingyun, what are your thoughts and plans for coming to the Wood Source Galaxy this time?" Iron Rhino asked Emo Qingyun curiously. He wanted to hear about Emo Qingyun's ambitions. Emo Qingyun pondered Iron Rhinoceros's question for a moment before replying, "Sect Master, my thoughts are simple. The Wild Continent is too lacking in cultivation resources. If possible, I would like to collect some cultivation techniques and bring them back to the Wild Continent to spread. Knowing how to repay kindness and benefit everyone. This is a good idea." Iron Rhinoceros was not dissatisfied with Emo Qingyun's thoughts. Instead, he praised him greatly. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun's thoughts showed that he was a sentimental person. In this way, the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect would be able to nurture Emo Qingyun with less worry. Given Emo Qingyun's temperament once he matured, he would definitely be grateful to the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. Given Emo Qingyun's terrifying talent, his future achievements would be limitless. His gratitude was too precious. Iron Rhinoceros immediately made a decision. He turned to Zhou Ping and instructed, "Elder Zhou Ping, take Qing Yun to the Taurus Pavilion and let him stay there from now on. The Taurus Pavilion. Zhou Ping's expression changed when he heard Iron Rhinoceros's instructions. His eyes flashed with intense shock. He was well aware of the importance of the Taurus Pavilion. It wasn't a place where ordinary disciples could stay. However, when he thought about Emo Qingyun's potential, Zhou Ping felt relieved. He could understand Iron Rhinoceros's intentions. Qingyun, let's go. Zhou Ping stood up and gave some instructions to Emo Qingyun. Then, he walked out of the hall. Elder Huang Fan, immediately send a message to the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect and report the matter regarding Emo Qingyun. As soon as Emo Qingyun walked out of the hall, Iron Rhinoceros instructed an elder to report Emo Qingyun's matter. After all, Emo Qingyun's talent was too terrifying. A small sect like the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect couldn't accommodate him. Only by letting Emo Qingyun enter the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect would he be able to receive better nurturing and achieve greater achievements. Qingyun, follow me. After coming out of the hall, Zhou Ping led the way in front and arranged a residence for Emo Qingyun. Not long after, Emo Qingyun arrived in front of a magnificent mansion under Zhou Ping's lead. This mansion was very large, spanning several hundred acres. Moreover, the spiritual energy was very abundant. Under Emo Qingyun's perception, the spiritual energy in this mansion was at least 10 times denser than in the wild continent. In other words, if Emo Qingyun cultivated here, the effect would be 10 times more effective than in the wild continent. While Emo Qingyun was sizing up the mansion, Zhou Ping stepped into the mansion and arrived in front of a golden bull statue. Following behind Zhou Ping, Emo Qingyun arrived in front of the golden bull statue. He felt a mysterious energy. This statue, sensing the power of the golden bull statue, Emo Qingyun's expression changed. His eyes were filled with shock. Zhou Ping seemed to have expected Emo Qingyun's reaction. He smiled faintly and said, "This golden bull statue contains the will of many powerhouses. These wills contain cultivation insights and cultivation technique. Therefore, comprehending this golden bull statue will be of immeasurable help to you." Hearing Zhou Ping's explanation, Emo Qingyun was immediately pleasantly surprised. His eyes were filled with anticipation. While Emo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, Zhou Ping pondered for a moment and said, "The people who originally lived in the Golden Bull Pavilion were all the young sect masters of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. Now that the sect master has allowed you to live here, it can be seen that he values you greatly. You must not disappoint his expectations." "Elder, don't worry. I will definitely not disappoint." Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Emo Qingyun nodded in understanding and promised with a solemn expression. Chapter 2449. Zhou Ping nodded his head in satisfaction when he saw Emo Qingyun's attitude. He didn't doubt Emo Qingyun's words at all. Even though Emo Qingyun's talent was monstrous, he had only used 39 years to break through to the nebula grade. This point alone was enough to show how hard he had worked on his cultivation. Although living in the Taurus Pavilion is good, there are still some hidden dangers that you have to take precautions against. After talking about the benefits of living in the Taurus Pavilion, Zhou Ping changed the topic and began to talk about the drawbacks of the Taurus Pavilion. Due to the special significance of the Taurus Pavilion, there are many eyes watching it. Now that you have moved in, you will become the target of public criticism. You have to be wary of some people making things difficult for you. You don't have to worry about this. Since I have moved in, I naturally won't let others cause trouble. Emo Qingyun was very clear about the situation that Zhou Ping was talking about. With an indifferent expression, he said, "If they dare to offend me, I will beat them back. I will beat them until they don't dare to provoke me." This old man forgot about that. "You're also a troublemaker, brat." Zhou Ping immediately laughed heartily when he saw Emo Qingyun's attitude. He no longer worried about Emo Qingyun. Previously, when they were at the mountain gate, He had seen Mo Qingyun's character from Mo Qingyun's behavior. If nothing unexpected happened, anyone who tried to cause trouble for Mo Qingyun wouldn't have a good ending. Living in the tourist pavilion alone seems too lonely. I will arrange some servants for you later. After accompanying Mo Qingyun around the tourist pavilion, Zhou Ping pondered for a moment and made some arrangements for Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't object to Zhou Ping's arrangement. He nodded his head and agreed. Living in the tourist pavilion alone was indeed a little lonely. It would be good to find some servants to add some liveliness. After Zhou Ping finished speaking, he thought for a moment and suggested to Mo Qingyun, in addition to finding some servants, you can also recruit some disciples to live in the tourist pavilion and take care of the mansion for you. You can do that? Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment. He immediately had a plan and thought to himself, if Shi Wei and the others are willing, I'll let them live here and manage the pavilion for me. Mo Qingyun thought so. Firstly, he wanted to find someone to manage the mansion. Secondly, he wanted to take care of Shi Wei and the others. If nothing unexpected happened, when Shi Wei and the others entered the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, Di Qiu would probably find trouble with them. If they lived in the tourist pavilion, no matter how bold Di Qiu was, he would have to think twice before acting. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived at the main hall of the tourist pavilion under Zhou Ping's guidance. Inside the main hall of the pavilion, Zhou Ping stood before a platform and pointed at a jade seal. This seal is the core of the pavilion. Refine it and you'll be able to control the formations. Seeing the seal on Zhou Ping's finger, Mo Qingyun did not think too much and immediately refined it. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Zhou Ping couldn't help but be stunned. A faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth as he said, "This brat is quite decisive in his actions. But this is also good. Now that he has refined the Taurus jade seal, he can avoid any more trouble." Thinking of this, Zhou Ping no longer hesitated and stood guard for Mo Qingyun. As Mo Qingyun refined the Taurus jade seal, a shocking flame energy erupted from his body. What a powerful flame energy! It's even stronger than when he released the Saint Power Star Cluster. Did he hold back? Sensing the flame energy released by Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping was shocked. He stared at Mo Qingyun with his eyes wide open. Zhou Ping's body shuddered when he had this thought. He quickly shook his head and said, "That shouldn't be the case. If he's still holding back, the number of Saint Power Star Clusters that he possesses would be more than 7,000. Even a genius from a 3-star realm wouldn't be able to reach that standard." In Zhou Ping's opinion, if that was the case, it would be too terrifying. He would rather believe that he was overthinking. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Zhou Ping's expression was tense as he stood guard by the side. With his Nebula Realm cultivation, I'm afraid he'll need 2 months to refine the seal. Zhou Ping calculated the time Mo Qingyun would need to refine the seal. His expression immediately changed as he said nervously, "There's only 1 month left before the Heavenly Bull inheritance descends. If that's the case, won't Qingyun miss it? What should I do?" Although he was anxious, Zhou Ping did not disturb Mo Qingyun. Instead, he was thinking of how to speed up the process for Mo Qingyun. While Zhou Ping was pondering, an unbelievable scene unfolded before his eyes. He realized that Mo Qingyun's refining speed was far faster than he had imagined. Qingyun has already refined one of the saint runes of the Taurus jade seal? Zhou Ping's eyes widened when he saw the changes in the Taurus jade seal. He felt as if his brain wasn't working properly. He exclaimed, "It's only been a quarter of an hour, and he's already refined one of the runes. At this rate, won't he be able to refine it in half a month?" After making this discovery, the shock in Zhou Ping's heart immediately intensified. This discovery really frightened him. Mo Qingyun's performance was too monstrous. Next, Zhou Ping watched Mo Qingyun refine the Taurus jade seal with a shocked expression. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Under Zhou Ping's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun successfully refined the Taurus jade seal. "I've finally refined it." After 7 days of continuous refinement, Mo Qingyun finally refined the Taurus jade seal. Then, he withdrew from his cultivation and lamented, "I never imagined that I would need 7 days to refine such a small Taurus jade seal. It seems like my cultivation base is too low, which is why the refining speed was so slow. This kid is really trying to give me a blow." Zhou Ping's expression turned bitter when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He wished he could kill himself with a piece of tofu. Given his late-stage galaxy-grade cultivation base, it would take him at least 10 days to refine the Taurus jade seal. Mo Qingyun was merely at the nebula grade, yet he actually thought that 7 days was too slow. This was too much of a blow. Zhou Ping couldn't help but shake his head and lament. This should be the difference between geniuses and ordinary people. Ordinary people like us really don't understand the world in the eyes of geniuses. Thank you, Elder, for protecting me and allowing me to refine the Taurus jade seal with peace of mind. Looking at Zhou Ping in front of him, Mo Qingyun showed a grateful expression and cupped his hands towards Zhou Ping. Zhou Ping waved his hands in response to Mo Qingyun's gratitude. "There's no need for such formalities. Since you have refined the Taurus jade seal, this old man won't stay any longer." After saying that, Zhou Ping stood up and walked out of the Taurus pavilion. Chapter 2450. Since I've refined the Taurus jade seal, I'll go ask Shi Wei and the others if they're willing to move in. After sending Zhou Ping off, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before going to look for Shi Wei and the others. As soon as Mo Qingyun walked out of the Taurus pavilion, he was blocked by a group of people who were looking at him with ill intentions. Seeing that his path was blocked, Mo Qingyun was stunned for a moment before a faint smile appeared on his face. If he guessed correctly, the appearance of these people had something to do with the Taurus pavilion. "Boy, you've got guts. How dare you move into the Taurus pavilion? Don't you know that the Taurus pavilion isn't a place for ordinary people to live in? If you know what's good for you, move out immediately and get lost. What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what I said?" The group of people blocked Mo Qingyun's path and scolded Mo Qingyun loudly in an arrogant manner. Mo Qingyun didn't care about these people's scolding at all. He glanced at them indifferently. "You guys came pretty quickly. Elder Zhou Ping just left and you guys can't wait to come." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly as he looked at the people in front of him. His expression turned cold as he said, "I've just entered the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect and don't want to cause too much trouble. If you guys know what's good for you and leave, I won't bicker with you." Seeing that Mo Qingyun was even more arrogant than them, the people in front of him were immediately enraged and their faces darkened. If they didn't teach Mo Qingyun a lesson, they wouldn't be able to show their faces in the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect in the future. "Boy, it seems like you're itching for a beating. I'll have to teach you a lesson." A Peak Nebula Realm disciple sneered at Mo Qingyun and extended his palm towards Mo Qingyun. When the disciple made his move, a terrifying surge of violent saint energy burst out from his body. Violent Tiger Claw. The disciple bent his palm, and the violent saint power gathered in his palm turned into a golden tiger claw, grabbing at Mo Qingyun. Li Xian hid his strength quite well. He actually broke through to the peak of the Nebula Realm. At this rate, he will soon be promoted to an elite disciple. In my opinion, Li Xian wants to use this boy to establish his prestige and show that he has the qualifications to be an elite disciple. This brat is really unlucky. He was stepped on by Li Xian as soon as he entered the sect and became Li Xian's stepping stone. Seeing that Li Xian had attacked Mo Qingyun, the people around him gloated and their eyes were filled with mockery. Under the gazes of the crowd, Mo Qingyun remained calm and raised his hand to meet Li Xian's attack. He said, "You're just an ant. How dare you attack me? Don't blame me for being rude." Mo Qingyun knew very well that if he continued to be patient, it would only make these people even more arrogant. Therefore, what he needed to do now was to crush Li Xian and establish his dominance. Other than that, he also wanted to teach Li Xian a lesson to make an example out of him. As Mo Qingyun waved his palm, a terrifying flame energy burst out from his body. Then, the power of the flame gathered on his palm like a fire dragon. Demonic star-splitting palm. As Mo Qingyun waved his palm, a flaming palm shadow blasted out from his palm. The flaming palm shadow blasted out with a violent force, crushing down on Li Xian. So powerful! Sensing the aura of Mo Qingyun's palm, Li Xian's expression changed drastically. He panicked and said, "Could the rumors be true? This brat's strength has reached the galaxy grade?" Bang! Just as Li Xian was panicking, the flaming palm shadow approached and swallowed him and the golden tiger claw. Under the bombardment of the flaming palm shadow, the golden tiger claw was instantly destroyed and dissipated. When the golden tiger claw was destroyed, the flaming palm shadow engulfed Li Xian and sent him flying. Poof! After being hit by the flaming palm shadow, Li Xian immediately vomited blood and lay on the ground with a pale face. Seeing Li Xian's miserable state, the faces of the people around him changed. Fear filled their eyes. They had not expected Mo Qingyun to be so powerful. He was not someone they could contend with. Scram! After sending Li Xian flying, Mo Qingyun did not attack again. He only shouted at the rest of the people. After hearing Mo Qingyun's angry shout, the rest of the people did not dare to stay any longer. They immediately carried Li Xian away. "Brat, just you wait. We will not let this matter rest." Li Xian is senior brother Li Xiaoyuan's younger brother. Since you have injured Li Xian, senior brother Li Xiaoyuan will not let this matter rest. Just you wait. When senior brother Li Xiaoyuan comes out of seclusion, he will definitely teach you a lesson. When those people carried Li Xian away, they did not want to be outdone. They threw some harsh words at Mo Qingyun. Regarding those people's vicious words, Mo Qingyun directly ignored them. Mo Qingyun's thoughts were simple. As long as Li Xiaoyuan dared to provoke him, he would dare to teach Li Xiaoyuan a lesson. He wanted to gain a foothold in the Skybull Mountain sect. Coincidentally, he was lacking a powerful opponent. Li Xiaoyuan was very suitable. It was easy to find the residence of the unnamed disciples. After asking a few people, Mo Qingyun arrived at the residence of the unnamed disciples. He saw a simple and crude house. The difference between these rooms and his Taurus pavilion was like the difference between heaven and earth. It's him. The person who injured Deacon Ma Kong. Isn't he going to be conferred as an elite disciple? Why is he here at the residence of the unnamed disciples? I'm not sure. Could it be that he made a mistake and was demoted to an unnamed disciple? That's not possible. Looking at him, he seems to be looking for someone. Due to Mo Qingyun's performance previously, it left a deep impression on everyone. He attracted a lot of people's attention the moment he arrived. Under everyone's respectful gazes, Mo Qingyun walked in front of a person and said, "This junior apprentice brother, I want to ask, where are Shi Wei and the rest standing?" You're looking for Shi Wei." Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, this person's expression immediately trembled. A look of panic appeared on his face. Not long ago, Di Qiu went to find Shi Wei and the rest, wanting to have ill intentions toward Shi Wei. If he told Mo Qingyun where Shi Wei and the rest were staying now, it might ruin Di Qiu's good deed. If he offended Di Qiu because of this was not what he wanted. Looks like Shi Wei they all ran into trouble. Seeing this person's performance, Mo Qingyun's heart stirred, guessing a possibility. When Mo Qingyun thought of this point, his expression turned dark. He said coldly, "What I asked you, didn't you hear? Do you want me to say it again?" Under Mo Qingyun's cold shout, this person was immediately scared until his body trembled. he said with a frightened expression. Senior apprentice brother Mo, please calm down. Shi Wei and the rest's houses are the three in the front. Although he was very unwilling in his heart, he did not dare to not say it. Mo Qingyun was more terrifying than Di Qiu. Chapter 24:51. After knowing the location of Shi Wei's residence, Mo Qingyun ignored this person and walked towards Shi Wei's residence. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of Shi Wei's house and saw a few people guarding outside. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up and he had a bad feeling. He thought to himself, oh no, someone is trying to harm Shi Wei. I have to stop him immediately. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he did not waste any more time and immediately walked towards Shi Wei's house. The few people guarding outside the house saw Mo Qingyun coming over and their faces immediately darkened. They shouted, "Stop, this is not a place for you. Disappear from our sight immediately." After saying this, he threw a palm at Mo Qingyun as if he wanted to drive Mo Qingyun away. Get lost! Seeing this person's action, Mo Qingyun directly slapped him and sent him flying. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the gazes of the other people guarding outside the house immediately turned cold. Boy, how dare you attack him? I think you are tired of living. Go, get rid of this boy. Don't let him ruin young Master Di Qiu's plan. The few people exchanged glances and surrounded Mo Qingyun. They attacked Mo Qingyun fiercely. Facing these people's attack, Mo Qingyun did not flinch and took the initiative to meet them. A mantis trying to stop a chariot, asking for trouble. Mo Qingyun didn't even bother dodging their attacks. He simply allowed their fists to land on him. While Mo Qingyun forcefully withstood their fists, he also waved his palms and blasted them towards them. Boy, now that you know how powerful we are you regretting it now? I thought you were very powerful. It turns out that you are only strong in appearance. You are just a paper tiger. Seeing that all of their attacks were focused on Mo Qingyun, everyone immediately started mocking him. However, before they could finish their words, they were all stunned and their eyes were wide open. Mo Qingyun took their attacks head-on and was not injured at all. He stood there without moving. It's too early for you to be happy. Looking at the shocked expressions of the crowd, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain and said disdainfully, "Your attacks are just like scratching an itch on my body." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he waved his palms and landed them one after another. Bang bang bang! Under Mo Qingyun's palm attack, the crowd was immediately sent flying and fell heavily to the ground. These people fell to the ground and lost their ability to fight. They looked at Mo Qingyun in horror. Judging from the current situation, Mo Qingyun's battle prowess was even stronger than what they had heard. Mo Qingyun chose to ignore everyone's shocked gazes and walked to Shi Wei's door. Bang! Mo Qingyun lifted his leg and kicked open the door of Shi Wei's house. He saw Di Qiu and the others in the house. At this moment, she ran and she sure were covered in wounds and had fainted. As for Shi Wei, she looked at the sneering Di Qiu with a frightened expression on her face. In addition, Shi Wei's clothes were forcefully torn, revealing her snow-white skin. From this scene, it seemed that Di Qiu was deliberately teasing her and wanted to take off her clothes bit by bit. Who let you in? Get out here immediately. Don't you know that I am busy? Hearing that the door was opened, Di Qiu scolded unhappily. His eyes were still on Shi Wei's body and he said, "Little beauty, you should give up resisting. No one will come to save you today." Who said so? Hearing Di Qiu's words, Mo Qingyun walked into the house with a cold expression and asked him back. Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Shi Wei was immediately delighted and quickly leaned over to Mo Qingyun. "You? Why are you here?" Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Di Qiu immediately panicked and his expression became tense. In his mind, Mo Qingyun should have become the target of public criticism after living in the Taurus Pavilion. He should have no time to spare. Now that he was here, it was a little too abnormal, and it caught him off guard. Emo Qingyun ignored Dichio's question and took out a piece of clothing to cover Shi Wei. Seeing that Emo Qingyun ignored him, Dichio was angry, but he did not dare to show his anger. He had experienced Emo Qingyun's temper and character before. He was a master who feared nothing in the world. All of them are down. This guy is too cruel. Seeing that his followers were defeated, Dichio was shocked again, and he was even more afraid of Emo Qingyun. Seeing that Emo Qingyun had arrived, Dichio did not want to stay any longer and was ready to leave the house immediately. He knew that he could not do anything to Shi Wei now that Emo Qingyun had appeared. "Did I say you could leave?" Emo Qingyun's face sank when he saw Dichio's actions, and he questioned Dichio. Dichio trembled when he heard Emo Qingyun's question. He looked at Emo Qingyun nervously and said, Little brat, don't go too far. You have already become the target of public criticism after living in the tourist pavilion. I advise you not to make any more strong enemies. I'm afraid you will be disappointed if you think you can scare me with this." Emo Qingyun did not care about Dichio's threat. Instead, he said arrogantly, "So what if I'm the target of public criticism? I don't mind teaching them all a lesson if they dare to provoke me." Emo Qingyun was not lying. Given his current strength, as long as they were not celestial domain-grade powerhouses, it would be useless no matter how many galaxy grades came. Seeing that he did not scare Emo Qingyun, Dichio panicked a little and said with a nervous expression, What the hell do you want? This is the Sky Bull Mountain sect. The sect will not let you off if you injure a fellow sect member. Don't worry, I won't injure you badly. I will just teach you a lesson." Emo Qingyun's lips curled when he heard Dichio's words. He had a perfect plan. Using the bloody light door to deal with Dichio seemed more effective than injuring him severely. Bloody light door. Emo Qingyun flipped his palm and emitted a mysterious power that condensed into a bloody light door. As soon as the blood-colored light door was formed, Emo Qingyun sent it flying towards Dichio. Dichio was so frightened that his body trembled and his face turned pale when he saw Emo Qingyun's actions. He hadn't expected that Emo Qingyun wouldn't care about his words at all and would still attack him decisively. The speed of the bloody light door was so fast that it blasted into Dichio's body before he could react. Dichio's face turned pale and his aura weakened a little when he was hit by the bloody light door. After using the bloody light door on Dichio, Emo Qingyun ignored him. "Scram! Don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I won't let you off so easily." Chapter 2452. In the main hall of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. Zhou Ping left the tourist pavilion and came here directly to report that Emo Qingyun had refined the tourist jade seal. When Zhou Ping walked into the main hall, he saw that Tai Shi and the others were sitting there with gloomy faces. One of the late-stage galaxy-grade elders had lost an arm and was sitting on a chair with a pale face. Seeing this scene, Zhou Ping's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling and asked, "Sect Master, what's going on? Who injured Elder Sun Yu?" Hearing Zhou Ping's question, Tai Shi's face sank and he said coldly, "The person who injured Elder Sun Yu is a powerhouse from the Blood Soul Galaxy. Not long ago, he came to the Heavenly Bull Continent and attacked our sect, the Fengyan Sky Sect and the Qin Yun Sword Sect. Elder Sun Yu was injured by him." "What? He's still in the Wood Source Galaxy? He's too arrogant." Knowing who had injured Elder Sun Yu, Zhou Ping's face sank and he said angrily, "This demon is too arrogant. We can't tolerate him. We have to teach him a lesson." The others in the main hall nodded in agreement when they heard Zhou Ping's words. Tai Shi frowned when he saw everyone's reaction. He spread his hands and said, "Everyone, calm down. That demon is not only strong, but he also controls dozens of powerful blood dragons. We can't contend with him with our strength." Zhou Ping couldn't help but fall silent when he heard Tai Shi's words. His face was full of unwillingness. Elder Sun Yu had injured the demon. He was really unwilling to let this matter go. You don't have to care about this demon from the Blood Soul Galaxy. Tell me about Mo Qingyun. After explaining the situation to Zhou Ping, Tai Shi changed the topic and asked about Mo Qingyun's recent situation. In his opinion, it was more important to nurture Mo Qingyun than deal with the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. Sect Master, Mo Qingyun has refined the Taurus Jade Seal and successfully gained control of the Taurus Pavilion. Hearing Iron Rhinoceros ask about Mo Qingyun, Zhou Ping revealed a gratified smile and told him about Mo Qingyun. After listening to Zhou Ping's report, everyone in the hall was stunned, and their expressions were difficult to conceal. They were very clear about the time needed to refine the Taurus Jade Seal. A Nebula Realm cultivator would need at least 2 months. However, Mo Qingyun only used 7 days. This was a little scary. After a brief moment of surprise, Tai Shi used a meaningful gaze to look at Zhou Ping, who was in the center of the hall, and said, "Elder Zhou Ping, it seems that helping Mo Qingyun refine the Taurus Jade Seal, you should have expended a lot of effort. I won't hide it from Sect Master. When Mo Qingyun refined the Taurus Jade Seal, I didn't do anything at all." Upon hearing Iron Rhinoceros's words, Zhou Ping revealed a bitter smile, knowing that Iron Rhinoceros misunderstood. After explaining to Iron Rhinoceros, Zhou Ping revealed a blushing expression and said in shame, "Although I don't want to admit it, I have to admit that in front of that kid, my years of cultivation have been in vain." Hearing Zhou Ping's words, the curiosity on Iron Rhinoceros's face immediately became thicker. He still understood Zhou Ping's character. He wasn't the kind of person who admitted defeat easily. Now that Zhou Ping actually said this, it was certain that some of Mo Qingyun's actions had dealt him a deep blow. Under Iron Rhinoceros's curious gaze, Zhou Ping's expression became more serious, and a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes as he said, "When Mo Qingyun refined the Taurus Jade Seal, the flame power he released felt much stronger than during the talent test. I feel that he might be hiding his talent." When Zhou Ping's words left his mouth, the hall was in an uproar. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. This news shocked them quite a bit, causing their emotions to be like perilous waves. The talent that Mo Qingyun displayed now was already very frightening. If he was still hiding his talent, then how monstrous would the talent that he possessed be? "Elder Zhou Ping, is this matter true?" Iron Rhinoceros had a nervous expression as he confirmed with Zhou Ping, a look of anticipation surging in his eyes. He was very clear that this matter was very important. There could not be the slightest bit of carelessness. This subordinate still can't be sure. Why don't we summon Mo Qingyun over and retest his talent? Under Iron Rhinoceros's inquiry, Zhou Ping thought for a moment and suggested to Iron Rhinoceros, "That's not necessary." Hearing Zhou Ping's suggestion, Iron Rhinoceros shook his head and refused. He said solemnly, "The impact of this matter is too great. Everybody, don't spread it out first. Wait for the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect's emissary to arrive before talking." "Yes." Regarding Iron Rhinoceros's exhortation, Zhou Ping and the rest nodded their heads in response and no longer discussed Mo Qingyun's talent. They were worried that if Mo Qingyun's talent leaked out, it would cause the Fengyun Heavenly Sect and Qingyun Sword Sect to deal with it. Mo Qingyun did not know about Zhou Ping's actions. After beating Di Qiu away, he turned to look at Shi Wei and asked for her opinion. "I'm here this time to ask if you're willing to move to the Taurus Pavilion." "You want us to move to the Taurus Pavilion?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Shi Wei was immediately shocked. Her pair of beautiful eyes widened. This news was too shocking for her. She was not mentally prepared at all. She knew very well what kind of place the Taurus Pavilion was. It was the place where the young master of the Sky Bull Mountain sect lived. If one cultivated there, they would be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Now that Mo Qingyun was inviting her to live there, how could she not be shocked and overjoyed? "Thank you, Mr. Mo. I'll listen to your arrangements. Shi Wei calmed down and put on an obedient expression as she nodded at Mo Qingyun. Knowing Shi Wei's attitude, Mo Qingyun looked at Shi Ran and the other man. He released a surge of saint power to wake them up. Xiao Wei, are you okay? Ah, Mr. Mo is here. That's great. Shi Ran and the other man were excited when they woke up. It was an instinctive reaction. Hearing Shi Ran and the other man's question, Shi Wei shook her head at them and said, I'm fine. When Di Qiu was bullying me, Mr. Mo arrived in time and beat Di Qiu away. That's great. Knowing that Shi Wei was fine, Shi Ran took a deep breath and patted her chest. When she realized that her action was a little bold, her pretty face blushed immediately. Seeing Shi Ran's shy expression, Shi Wei tried to smooth things over for her and change the topic. Young Master Mo, you came to us this time to ask if the three of us are willing to move into Taurus Pavilion. Move to the Taurus Pavilion? Is that really okay? Hearing Shi Wei's question, Shi Ran and the other man were pleasantly surprised and excited. Seeing Shi Ran and the other man's reaction, Mo Qingyun knew what they were thinking. He said, pack up. We'll go back to the Taurus Pavilion now. Chapter 2453. In the residence of the elite disciples, in a magnificent mansion, a disheveled young man arrived at the mansion with the help of a group of people. As soon as the young man entered the mansion, he went to a secret chamber and shouted, Big brother, something bad has happened. The Taurus Pavilion has been occupied. The young man who had spoken was none other than Li Xian, who had been taught a lesson by Mo Qingyun. After Li Xian finished speaking, he waited outside the secret chamber with a nervous expression on his face. Shortly after, the door of the secret chamber opened and a stern-looking young man walked out. The Taurus Pavilion has been occupied? Is it Di Nai or Su Chuanxin? Li Xiaoyuan asked coldly as she looked at Li Xian, who was standing outside the secret chamber. It's neither of them. Li Xian shook his head and denied Li Xiaoyuan's words. With a gloomy expression, he said, The person who is occupying the Taurus Pavilion is a brat who has just entered the sect. Relying on his high talent and the sect leaders' and elders' high opinion of him, he arrogantly moved in. A disciple who has just entered the sect? Hearing Li Xian's reply, shock surfaced on Li Xiaoyuan's face. She rubbed her chin in interest and said, For a disciple who has just entered the sect to be able to receive such recognition from the sect master, it looks like his talent is indeed very great. I've become interested in him. Li Xian's face lit up when he heard Li Xiaoyuan's words. His heart was filled with anticipation. In his opinion, if Li Xiaoyuan was willing to step in, she would definitely be able to teach Mo Qingyun a lesson. He was very confident in Li Xiaoyuan's strength, which was comparable to a late-stage galaxy-grade elite. What happened to your injuries? Li Xiaoyuan asked curiously when she noticed the injuries on Li Xian's body after exchanging a few words with him. When Li Xiaoyuan asked about his injuries, Li Xian put on an aggrieved expression and complained, I know that you have been paying attention to the Taurus Pavilion. When I found out that the Taurus Pavilion had been occupied, I immediately rushed over to persuade that kid to leave the Taurus Pavilion. Who would have thought that the kid would be so arrogant and unreasonable? Not only did he not listen to my advice, but he also used his own strength to beat me up. Is there such a thing? After listening to Li Xian's words, Li Xiaoyuan's eyes narrowed slightly, and a doubtful look appeared on her face. Li Xian was his younger brother, so he knew Li Xian's character very well. The truth of the matter should not be as he said. But to Li Xiaoyuan, this was not the most important part. What was important was that Mo Qingyun had hit Li Xian. As Li Xian's elder brother, he should seek an explanation for Li Xian and kick Mo Qingyun out of the Taurus Pavilion. No matter what happened, you are my younger brother. He should pay the price for hitting you. Li Xiaoyuan used a tough tone to express her attitude. He then rushed to the Taurus Pavilion. Seeing Li Xiaoyuan's attitude, the joy on Li Xian's face immediately became even stronger. He said excitedly, "Thank you, Big Brother, for standing up for me. If that brat knew that Big Brother was going to teach him a lesson, he would definitely be scared witless." Li Xiaoyuan did not take Li Xian's flattering words to heart. She walked in front with a cold expression. Mo Qingyun did not know about the arrival of Li Xian and the others. He left with Shi Wei and the other two and returned to the tourist pavilion, entering the pavilion. When Mo Qingyun returned to the tourist pavilion, he brought them to the west courtyard and said, "From now on, the three of you will stay in the west courtyard. Everything else is up to you." "Thank you, Mr. Mo." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Wei and the other two were touched. They quickly bowed to express their gratitude. While Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, Zhou Ping came to the tourist pavilion again. At this moment, there were many people behind Zhou Ping. There were both men and women in the group. If he was not mistaken, the people Zhou Ping brought with him should be Mo Qingyun's servants. "Elder Zhou Ping is here. I will go and receive him. The three of you can do as you please." After informing Shi Wei and the other two, Mo Qingyun left to receive Zhou Ping and the others. After a while, Mo Qingyun came in front of Zhou Ping. He bowed humbly to Zhou Ping and said, "Disciple Mo Qingyun welcomes Elder. No need to be so polite." Zhou Ping smiled and waved his hand at Mo Qingyun's actions. He said, "I came to you this time to bring you some servants. They will serve you in your daily life from now on." "Elder, I am sorry to have troubled you." After hearing Zhou Ping's intentions, Mo Qingyun was grateful. He bowed again to Zhou Ping and thanked him. Zhou Ping nodded approvingly at Mo Qingyun's humble actions. He said, "I still have some things to take care of. I will not talk to you anymore. You can arrange these servants on your own." After Zhou Ping finished speaking, he immediately turned around and left, looking like he was in a hurry. "Farewell, Elder." Seeing Zhou Ping turn and leave, Mo Qingyun immediately bowed and watched as Zhou Ping left. After Zhou Ping left, Mo Qingyun looked at the servants and thought about how to arrange them. Mo Qingyun thought for a while and came up with a plan. He thought to himself, it would be a good choice to let Shi Wei and the other two take care of these servants. With this idea in mind, Mo Qingyun summoned Shi Wei and the other two and told them his idea. "Mr. Mo, don't worry. The three of us will take good care of Tourist Pavilion." After hearing Mo Qingyun's idea, Shi Wei and the other two's expressions became serious. They immediately promised Mo Qingyun. In Shi Wei and the other two's eyes, Mo Qingyun trusted them by leaving these servants to them. Good. Seeing Shi Wei and the other two's attitude, Mo Qingyun nodded with satisfaction. This matter was resolved. At this moment, a burst of irritable shouts could be heard from outside the courtyard. "Mo Qingyun, get the hell out here. Otherwise, don't blame us for rushing in. Mo Qingyun, are you a coward? You only know how to hide in your shell. You're not a man. You're as cowardly as a mouse." A series of unpleasant curses came from the mouths of the people outside the courtyard. Hearing these words, Mo Qingyun frowned and his face turned cold. Shi Wei and the other two's expressions became tense. They couldn't help but worry for Mo Qingyun. "It seems that I have to deal with these troubles before I can cultivate in peace." Hearing the commotion outside, Mo Qingyun sighed and said to Shi Wei and the other two, "The three of you stay here and assign tasks to these people. I'll go out and deal with these people." After saying this, Mo Qingyun walked out of the tourist pavilion to meet the people who had come to cause trouble. After a while, Mo Qingyun walked out of tourist pavilion and saw Li Xiaoyuan and the others. "So it's you. You came pretty quickly." When he saw Li Xian in the crowd, a faint smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face as he teased him. After mocking Li Xian, Mo Qingyun looked at Li Xiaoyuan and couldn't help but take a few more glances at her. Chapter 2454. Early nebula stage? Sensing Mo Qingyun's cultivation, Li Xiaoyuan's expression immediately revealed surprise. When Li Xian reported to him, he did not mention Mo Qingyun's cultivation. Therefore, he instinctively thought that Mo Qingyun was able to defeat Li Xian because he was at least at the middle nebula stage. He did not expect that Mo Qingyun was only at the early nebula stage. This surprised him. Immediately, he could not help but regard Mo Qingyun highly in his heart. It seemed that Mo Qingyun was indeed not simple. No wonder Tai Shi and the others thought highly of him. With your early nebula stage cultivation, you can defeat Li Xian. You have some ability. Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Li Xiaoyuan praised him. His expression turned cold as he said, "However, Li Xian is my second brother after all. Since you injured him, I can't stand by and do nothing. I have to seek justice for him. In that case, there's nothing more to say. Let's fight." Understanding Li Xiaoyuan's meaning, Mo Qingyun did not waste time talking nonsense with him. He directly assumed a fighting stance. Seeing Mo Qingyun's straightforward performance, Li Xiaoyuan was stunned. His eyes flashed with surprise. If Mo Qingyun showed any signs of panic, he would definitely attack without hesitation. However, Mo Qingyun's calm attitude made him somewhat uncertain. He did not dare to act rashly against Mo Qingyun. "Although I don't know where your confidence comes from, you've won my respect." After carefully sizing up Mo Qingyun, Li Xiaoyuan revealed a sly expression and said in a deep voice, "How about this, let's have a bet? If you lose, go and ask the sect master and elders to give me the right to stay in the Taurus pavilion. If I lose, we'll write off the matter of you injuring my second brother. How about it?" Hearing Li Xiaoyuan's suggestion, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He was somewhat interested. However, Li Xiaoyuan's conditions were not enough for him to agree to the bet. "Your plan is pretty good." Mo Qingyun smiled contemptuously. His expression turned cold as he asked, "Let me ask you, since I've already defeated you, what explanation do I need to give you for injuring your second brother?" Under Mo Qingyun's questioning, Li Xiaoyuan was stunned and didn't know how to refute. Mo Qingyun's words were not false. Since Mo Qingyun had defeated him, what explanation was there to give? "Tell me, what do you want in order for you to fight me?" Although her trick was directly exposed by Mo Qingyun, Li Xiaoyuan did not give up. "My request is actually very simple. As long as the stakes you take out can satisfy me." When he heard Li Xiaoyuan's question, Mo Qingyun's expression was calm as he indifferently answered Li Xiaoyuan. Mo Qingyun thought to himself, he was currently lacking in cultivation resources, so it would be best if he could get some from Li Xiaoyuan to replenish his resources. If he wanted to purchase a flying tool, he needed to obtain a large amount of immortal spirit stones in the shortest amount of time possible. Based on the current situation, he might be able to obtain some from Li Xiaoyuan. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he began to look forward to the stakes that Li Xiaoyuan would take out. Li Xiaoyuan's eyes flickered when she heard Mo Qingyun's request. She considered how to reply to Mo Qingyun. Li Xiaoyuan pondered for a while before making a decision. He took out a black horn and said, "This is the horn of a demon blood-horned centipede. I obtained it in the inheritance of the heavenly bull. It's related to a secret of the inheritance, so I'll use it as a wager." Mo Qingyun looked curious when he heard Li Xiaoyuan's introduction. He could not help but take a few more glances at the black bull's horn. This black bull's horn was related to the heavenly bull inheritance ground. If he obtained it, it might be of some help when he entered the heavenly bull inheritance ground. "You are not being sincere by using a broken bull's horn as a stake." Although he was somewhat interested in the black bull's horn, Mo Qingyun pretended to be displeased and shook his head at Li Xiaoyuan. Li Xiaoyuan's face darkened when she saw Mo Qingyun's reaction. She took out a blue ice crystal and said angrily, "This is a million-year-old galaxy ice crystal. It is the main material for setting up the Ice Galaxy Great Array. I will add it again. It is still not enough. Mo Qingyun still shook his head with an unsatisfied expression. Li Xiaoyuan's expression turned even uglier when she saw Mo Qingyun's reaction. She took out a sun-shaped stone key and said, "This stone key is related to the inheritance of a 3-star plane. This is the last thing I will add to the wager." After taking out the sun-shaped stone key, Li Xiaoyuan showed a pained expression. She looked at Mo Qingyun with a dark expression. In order to make Mo Qingyun fight with her, she had exhausted all her wealth. This price was too great. Seeing Li Xiaoyuan's attitude, Mo Qingyun knew that this was her limit. "Then let's fight." Seeing that he could not get anything else, Mo Qingyun did not say anything else and agreed to Li Xiaoyuan's wager. These 3 things were still very attractive to him. That sun-shaped stone key was related to the inheritance of a 3-star plane. It was a rare treasure. Wait. Seeing Mo Qingyun agree so readily, Li Xiaoyuan hesitated and interrupted Mo Qingyun's actions again. After Li Xiaoyuan stopped Mo Qingyun, he showed a cold expression and said, "Our wager is just empty words. In order to prevent everyone from regretting it, we will fight in the Heavenly Bull Array." The Heavenly Bull Array was a formation in the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect. It was specially used by disciples to settle their grudges. "I'm not afraid, but you are." Hearing Li Xiaoyuan's request, Mo Qing mocked her and said, "Since you want to fight in the Heavenly Bull Array, I will accompany you in the Heavenly Bull Array." Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Li Xiaoyuan nodded with satisfaction. She had completely let go of the worries in her heart. Inside the Heavenly Bull Array, there were sect elders to maintain fairness. Mo Qingyun would not be able to play any trick. "Lead the way." After reaching an agreement with Li Xiaoyuan, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste time and immediately urged her. Mo Qingyun thought that since these troubles could not be avoided, why not take the initiative to attack? In this way, not only would he be able to solve the problems, but he would also be able to win some spoils of war. He was more willing to kill 2 birds with 1 stone like this. Hearing Mo Qingyun's urging, Li Xiaoyuan did not delay and directly rushed to the Heavenly Bull Array. In her opinion, if she continued to refuse, she would appear too cowardly. As Mo Qingyun and Li Xiaoyuan headed to the Heavenly Bull Array, the news of their battle spread like wildfire. Chapter 2455. As Mo Qingyun approached the Sky Bull Array, 2 huge flaming bull shadows appeared out of thin air in front of him. As soon as the 2 flaming bull shadows appeared, they dashed to the sides and created a gap in the array formation's light screen. When he saw the gap in the array formation's light screen appear, Mo Qingyun stepped into it and entered the Sky Bull Array. As soon as he entered the Sky Bull Array, Mo Qingyun saw many people sitting around the Sky Bull Array. Mo Qingyun scanned his surroundings before walking towards a high platform. This was the waiting area for the people who had gambled. As Mo Qingyun walked towards the high platform, Li Xiaoyuan also entered the Sky Bull Array and followed behind Mo Qingyun. At the moment, 2 young men were fighting in the center of the Sky Bull Array, attracting everyone's attention. These 2 young men were not weak, as they had both reached the galaxy grade. The cultivation of the young man in blue had reached the intermediate galaxy grade, so he was suppressing his opponent. Not long after, the young man in blue crushed his opponent in a domineering manner. D9 wins the gambit between Fong Heng and D9. The elder in charge of maintaining order in the Sky Bull Array announced the results solemnly after the young man in blue won. Upon hearing this, Mo Qingyun stopped in his tracks and couldn't help but turn his head to look at the young man in blue. He hadn't expected that the young man in blue would actually be Di Chio's big brother. When Mo Qingyun looked at D9, D9 sensed his gaze and turned his head to look at him. After looking at Mo Qingyun up and down for a while, D9 sneered and raised his head with a meaningful look. Apparently, D9 knew that Mo Qingyun had taught Di Chio a lesson. After sizing up D9, Emo Qingyun retracted his gaze and continued walking towards the high platform. Although D9 wasn't weak, he couldn't pose a threat to Luo Yunyang. Not long after, Emo Qingyun arrived at the high platform, waiting for his turn to fight with Li Xiaoyuan. When Emo Qingyun arrived at the high platform, there were still two people standing there. Both of them had a galaxy-grade cultivation. When the two of them saw Emo Qingyun arrive, they were surprised and looked at Emo Qingyun with interest. After glancing at Emo Qingyun, one of them turned to Li Xiaoyuan and said coldly, "Li Xiaoyuan, you're quite fast. But even if you take the Golden Bull Pavilion, can you defend it with your strength?" Li Xiaoyuan's face turned cold when she heard this person's unfriendly words. She said, "Yang Qingyao, before you meddle in my business, you should first think about how to defeat Zhou Ting." "Li Xiaoyuan, I like what you said, haha." Zhou Ting let out a hearty laugh before revealing a mocking sneer. He turned his head to look at Yang Qingyao and said, "Yang Qingyao, I advise you to surrender obediently and give me the Great Strength Demon Ox token in your hands. Otherwise, you will be at a disadvantage later on." "Humph. Don't think that you can fight me just because you've broken through to the galaxy grade." Yang Qingyao snorted in displeasure when he saw Zhou Ting's arrogant attitude. His eyes turned cold. Zhou Ting was unmoved by Yang Qingyao's anger. Instead, he looked at Emo Qingyun with interest and said, "Little brother, I've heard Uncle mention you before. I didn't expect you to have more guts than me. You actually dared to challenge Li Xiaoyuan, who is at the mid-stage of the galaxy grade, with your early-stage nebula-grade cultivation. I admire your courage." "Brother Zhou, you flatter me. You aren't any worse than me." Emo Qingyun smiled faintly in response to Zhou Ting's polite words. He had a good impression of Zhou Ting. Based on what he had just said, he was already Zhou Ping's grandnephew. If that's the case, just watch how I beat him into a pig's head. After Zhou Ting said those words, he leaped up and flew down from the high platform. Zhou Ting jumped off the high platform and flipped a few times before arriving at the center of the sky bull array. Yang Qingyao snorted in displeasure when he saw Zhou Ting's impatient actions and jumped off the high platform as well. Yang Qingyao and Zhou Ting soon arrived at the battle area and faced each other. As they faced each other, they also took out their wagers. After taking out his wager, Zhou Ting took the initiative to attack Yang Qingyao. As soon as Zhou Ting made his move, he displayed a ferocious stance as he launched an attack. Yang Qingyao immediately fell into a passive position in the face of Zhou Ting's tyrannical attack. Emo Qingyun had a look of understanding when he saw this. He knew why Zhou Ting was so confident. It turned out that Yang Qingyao had been injured. His injuries weren't light, and some of his foundations had been damaged. After this discovery, Emo Qingyun was even more puzzled. He thought to himself, "It seems like there are many secrets between the two of them." In Emo Qingyun's opinion, Yang Qingyao wouldn't fight Zhou Ting unless he had some unspeakable secret. Although Emo Qingyun was a little surprised by this discovery, he didn't pay much attention to it. This was a matter between Zhou Ting and Yang Qingyao. It had nothing to do with him. Time passed bit by bit as Zhou Ting and Luo Yunyang exchanged blows. About an hour later, Yang Qingyao was defeated by Zhou Ting due to his heavy injuries. "Don't worry. Since I have obtained the Demon Ox token, I will keep my promise and keep your secret." After Zhou Ting defeated Yang Qingyao, he threw down a sentence and left the battle area. Looking at Zhou Ting gradually walking away, Yang Qingyao's face was filled with unwillingness as he slowly walked out of the battle area. "Emo Qingyun, Li Xiaoyuan, the two of you may enter the arena." As the battle between Zhou Ting and Yang Qingyao ended, the elder who was in charge of justice coldly instructed. Upon hearing the elder's words, Li Xiaoyuan's figure flashed as she flew directly to the battle area. When Li Xiaoyuan arrived at the battle area, she took out her wager and handed it to the elder. "Elder Sun Kong, this is my wager. Please keep it safe for me." Elder Sun Kong's eyes lit up when he saw the item Li Xiaoyuan took out. His gaze fell on the sun-shaped key. To him, the inheritance of a 3-star plane was also very attractive. When Li Xiaoyuan took out her wager, Mo Qingyun also arrived at the battle area and stood in front of Sun Kong. Mo Qingyun, what is your wager? Take it out. When he saw Mo Qingyun standing in front of him, Sun Kong revealed a curious look and instructed Mo Qingyun. When he heard Sun Kong's words, Mo Qingyun didn't take out his wager. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "My wager is the right to stay in the Taurus Pavilion. Elder, please give me a pen and paper. I will write a contract now." You want to use the right to stay in the Taurus Pavilion as a wager? Sun Kong's expression changed when he heard Mo Qingyun's wager. His expression immediately turned serious as he said, "Mo Qingyun, do you know what will happen to you if you lose the right to stay in the Taurus Pavilion?" "Oh, what do you mean?" Hearing Sun Kong's question, Mo Qingyun's expression froze, and some confusion appeared on his face. Chapter 2456. Just as Mo Qingyun was puzzled, he turned his head to look at Li Xiaoyuan, wanting her to give him an explanation. Seeing Mo Qingyun look at her, the cold smile on Li Xiaoyuan's face immediately became even more intense. Clearly, she had used Mo Qingyun's ignorance to dig a hole for Mo Qingyun. Without waiting for Li Xiaoyuan to explain, Elder Sun Kong, who was by her side, said with a solemn expression, "The sect has a rule that those who are appointed to live in the Taurus Pavilion will lose the right to live in the Taurus Pavilion and will lose the qualification to compete for the position of junior sect master." Mo Qingyun was slightly surprised when he heard Elder Sun Kong's words. He really did not know about this. However, Mo Qingyun did not take the rule of the Skybull Mountain sect to heart. To him, the identity of the junior sect master of the Skybull Mountain sect did not have much meaning. He had come to the Skybull Mountain sect mainly to enter the sect so that he could gain a foothold on the Divine Wood continent. Therefore, if he became the junior sect master of the Skybull Mountain sect, it would restrict his actions instead. Seeing that Mo Qingyun did not seem to care, Sun Kong's face turned cold as he continued, "Apart from this, there's also the most important point. Those who have been appointed to stay in the Taurus Pavilion will lose the right to stay there. If they don't take it back within half a year, they will be punished by the sect. The lightest punishment will be 10 years of reflection, while the heaviest punishment will be having their cultivation crippled and being expelled from the sect." Mo Qingyun was finally moved when he heard Sun Kong's words. He realized the severity of the situation. If he really could not defeat Li Xiaoyuan and lost the right to stay in the Taurus Pavilion, the consequences would be extremely severe. It had to be said that Li Xiaoyuan's move was ruthless enough. It did not seem painful, but it was actually killing without spilling blood. "Your plan is pretty good. I almost fell for it." After understanding Li Xiaoyuan's intentions, a cold smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face as some coldness flashed in his eyes. Since Li Xiaoyuan had schemed against him like this, he could not do nothing. Li Xiaoyuan's plan was exposed, but he did not panic. He looked at Mo Qingyun with a sinister smile and provoked him. "So, you're afraid now? Are you going back on your word and running away from this battle? Scared?" In response to Li Xiaoyuan's words, Mo Qingyun laughed in disdain. He shook his head and said, "Li Xiaoyuan, don't use such a low-level method on me. You think too highly of yourself if you think you can scare me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's conversation, Sun Kong was worried that Mo Qingyun would let his emotions affect his decisions, so he said, "Mo Qingyun, this old man has already told you the consequences of losing the Taurus Pavilion. Do you want to change your mind now?" "Thank you for your kindness, Elder. My wager remains unchanged. It's still the right to live in the Taurus Pavilion." Mo Qingyun didn't listen to Sun Kong's reminder. Instead, he firmly rejected the offer. After rejecting Sun Kong's kindness, Mo Qingyun looked at Li Xiaoyuan and said indifferently, "Li Xiaoyuan, I will let you know later that scheming requires strength. Before you scheme against others, you must first see if your strength is enough. Mo Qingyun directly walked towards the battle area and waited for Li Xiaoyuan to exchange blows with him. This brat is really arrogant. He has piqued my interest. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Sun Kong revealed an expression of interest and smiled faintly as he muttered to himself. As an elder of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, he had naturally heard about Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Mo Qingyun wasn't going to change his mind, the smile on Li Xiaoyuan's face became even wider. Mo Qingyun, I admire your courage, but you have already lost this battle. When Li Xiaoyuan arrived at the center of the battle area, a smug smile appeared on her face. It was as if her evil plan had succeeded. Mo Qingyun didn't reply to Li Xiaoyuan's words. Instead, he took the initiative to charge towards Li Xiaoyuan. When Mo Qingyun's figure moved, a terrifying flame power erupted from his body. Demonic star-splitting palm. Mo Qingyun flipped his palm and a huge flaming palm that blotted out the sun blasted out from his palm. Seeing the power of Mo Qingyun's palm, Li Xiaoyuan was shocked. She put away the contempt in her heart and exclaimed, "So strong." As expected of someone with 7,000 saint power star clusters. His combat power is indeed incomparable to ordinary people. She could already sense that the power of Mo Qingyun's palm already possessed the combat strength of a galaxy grade. Therefore, if he wanted to defeat Mo Qingyun, it would not be an easy task. Blade Soul Shadow. Li Xiaoyuan retreated as she watched the flaming palm's shadow get closer and closer. She then took out a long blade. When she held the long blade, Li Xiaoyuan closed her eyes and released a shocking amount of saint power. The saint power seeped into the long blade and caused the long blade to emit a dim light. It then condensed into a blade light that was 1,000 meters long. Li Xiaoyuan opened her eyes and emitted a bright light as she slashed down with the long blade in her hand. Li Xiaoyuan waved the long blade and a blade light that was close to 1,000 meters long blasted out to meet the flaming palm's shadow in midair. Boom! When the blade light hit the palm's shadow, there was a loud explosion and a dazzling light. When the dazzling light appeared, a terrifying saint power shockwave spread out in all directions. Li Xiaoyuan didn't dare to take the shockwave head-on. She immediately waved her long blade to block it. Compared to Li Xiaoyuan's actions, Mo Qingyun was much more indifferent. He allowed the shockwave to hit him. From this subtle performance, it was obvious who was better between Mo Qingyun and Li Xiaoyuan. This kid's physique is really terrifying. He can actually take the shockwave head-on. Sun Kong was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's performance. He looked at Mo Qingyun and thought to himself, even with my advanced galaxy-grade cultivation, it would be difficult for me to take the shockwave head-on. I didn't expect him to do it. No wonder he is so confident. This kid is really extraordinary. This kid is a little difficult to deal with. It seems like it will take some effort to deal with him. Denai frowned when he saw Mo Qingyun's combat strength. He looked a little troubled. Some people beside him nodded in agreement when they heard Denai's words. Mo Qingyun's strength was already on the same level as theirs and was a threat to them. Compared to the shock of the others, the shock in Li Xiaoyuan's heart was undoubtedly stronger. The strength of this kid's body has actually reached such a level. No wonder he dared to fight me. Li Xiaoyuan was shocked when she saw Mo Qingyun's strong body. Then, her expression turned cold as she said coldly, "No matter how strong your body is, my heavenly demon blade is a quasi-galaxy-grade divine weapon. I don't believe that your body is stronger than my blade." Chapter 2457. If you're relying on the scrap metal in your hands, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. When Mo Qingyun rushed towards Li Xiaoyuan, he released a strong fighting spirit and mocked Li Xiaoyuan. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times and came before Li Xiaoyuan. He raised his hand and punched at Li Xiaoyuan. As Mo Qingyun punched, a terrifying flame saint power burst out from his body. The saint power of the flame burst out like a nimble fire dragon, circling around Mo Qingyun's body. "You're courting death." Seeing that Mo Qingyun wanted to use his physical body to fight against his heavenly demon Long Saber, Li Xiaoyuan smiled coldly. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun's action was no different from courting death. If Mo Qingyun was hit by his saber, he would be seriously injured and the battle would end there. Scorpio Eclipse. When the heavenly demon Long Saber was struck by Li Xiaoyuan, a black saint power gathered on it and turned into a huge scorpion shadow. When the scorpion shadow was formed, its scorpion tail turned into a saber light and stabbed at Mo Qingyun. When the scorpion tail stabbed at Mo Qingyun, the scorpion shadow's body hit the flaming fist shadow. Bang! 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 When the two collided, a brilliant light bloomed and a loud sound exploded. After blocking the scorpion shadow, Mo Qingyun's attack did not stop and punched at the scorpion tail. Under Mo Qingyun's punch, the scorpion tail was instantly destroyed and turned into saint power and dissipated. After defeating Li Xiaoyuan's attack, Mo Qingyun did not stop and continued to close in on Li Xiaoyuan. Since he wanted to use his physical strength to defeat Li Xiaoyuan, he had to fight in close combat. This kid's strength has reached such a level. Li Xiaoyuan's eyelids twitched as she watched Mo Qingyun sweep through everything. A hint of panic flashed across her eyes. In the short exchange with Mo Qingyun, he was surprised to find that he was actually being suppressed by Mo Qingyun. While Li Xiaoyuan was still in shock, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of him and threw a punch at him. Roar, roar, roar! As Mo Qingyun swung his fist, the flame saint power swimming around his body let out a thunderous roar. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's every punch was like a wolf, tiger, or leopard. In the face of Mo Qingyun's overbearing attack, Li Xiaoyuan could only hurriedly brandish her saber to block. Clang, clang, clang! When Mo Qingyun's fist landed on the heavenly evildoer, the crisp sound of metal clashing rang out from the heavenly evildoer. What shocked Li Xiaoyuan was that the heavenly evildoer was actually deformed under Mo Qingyun's bombardment. Especially at the edge of the saber, Mo Qingyun's fist had actually punched a hole in it. This indirectly showed that Mo Qingyun's fist was harder than the heavenly evildoer. His physical strength is comparable to a galaxy-level divine weapon. How is this possible? Seeing the damage to the heavenly evildoer, Li Xiaoyuan was more shocked than distressed. Mo Qingyun's current performance had truly frightened him, causing him to have some thoughts of retreating. Seeing the fear on Li Xiaoyuan's face, Mo Qingyun smirked and said, "What's wrong with you? You look absent-minded. Could it be that you didn't sleep well last night because you're going to fight me?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Li Xiaoyuan's face darkened. She shouted coldly, "Mo Qingyun, don't be arrogant. Our battle has just begun." Heavenly evildoer slash. As soon as Li Xiaoyuan said that, he quickly brandished the heavenly evildoer and slashed out streaks of dazzling blade light. When Li Xiaoyuan brandished the heavenly evildoer, he looked like an invincible blade god that gave off an invulnerable feeling. Li Xiaoyuan's strength has improved greatly after coming out of seclusion this time. Another strong opponent has appeared. It seems like an ordinary late-stage galaxy-grade powerhouse is no longer a match for her. Even I have to temporarily avoid such a move. I wonder how Mo Qingyun will deal with it. He will naturally retreat temporarily and use his strong physique to slowly contend with Li Xiaoyuan. Deny and the others' expressions changed when they saw Li Xiaoyuan's combat strength. They started to analyze the situation. While Deny and the others are astonished, Sun Kong, who is sitting on one side, has a shocked expression. He says with emotion, "Every generation brings forth new talents. The new generation replaces the old. This Li Xiaoyuan's strength is no weaker than mine. Her aura is not bad. Unfortunately, her strength is not enough." Upon seeing the power of Li Xiaoyuan's supernormal ability, Mo Qingyun shook his head regretfully and said, "This move might work on other people, but it is just a trick for me." Dragon Source Tyrant Body. Mo Qingyun shouted coldly and pushed his physical strength to the extreme, forming a thunderbolt domain outside his body. When this thunderbolt domain appeared, it blocked the approaching blade light and weakened the power of the blade light. Thanks to the weakening of the thunderbolt domain, the blade light that hit Mo Qingyun's body no longer had any power. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the surrounding people were shocked and their eyes widened. This kid actually held back his strength. How terrifying! Won't Li Xiaoyuan be defeated this way? He has just entered the sect, yet his strength has already reached the level of a first-line elite disciple. How amazing! No wonder the sect master thinks highly of him and appointed him to stay in the Taurus Pavilion. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the crowd's reverence for him immediately became much stronger. Compared to the shock of the ordinary disciples, the faces of Di Nai and the others immediately became gloomy. In their eyes, Mo Qingyun's strength was already a great threat to them. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun's figure moved, turning into a long rainbow and flying out. "Open for me." Facing the overbearing blade light bombardment, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He crazily punched and attacked. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun had punched hundreds of times, bombarding the blade light that was approaching him. Bang bang bang, under the bombardment of Mo Qingyun's fists, all the blade light that was blocking his way exploded. As Mo Qingyun continuously bombarded the blade light, the distance between him and Li Xiaoyuan was constantly shrinking. Seeing Mo Qingyun getting closer and closer, Li Xiaoyuan's face turned pale, and the panic in his heart could no longer be concealed. As the panic in his heart increased, Li Xiaoyuan's mind gradually became disordered, and his fighting spirit began to weaken rapidly. As a result, his attacks were obviously weakened, and he could no longer pose a threat to Mo Qingyun. "You've exhausted all your tricks. Our battle should end now." After destroying all the blade light, Mo Qingyun came to the front of Li Xiaoyuan and punched him. After Mo Qingyun's punch was thrown, a fist as fierce as a lion's flew towards Li Xiaoyuan. Facing Mo Qingyun's punch, Li Xiaoyuan did not even have time to react before he was hit by the giant flaming fist. Then, Li Xiaoyuan flew backward, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 2458. Li Xiaoyuan was actually defeated so thoroughly. This is really surprising. Mo Qingyun defeated Li Xiaoyuan in a crushing manner. I'm afraid he will become famous after this battle. I originally thought that Feng Han was the most talented disciple among this batch of disciples. Who would have thought that Mo Qingyun would appear? This kid is too arrogant. I have to find an opportunity to suppress him. Everyone had mixed feelings when they saw Mo Qingyun defeat Li Xiaoyuan in a domineering manner. Compared to the shock of the others, Sun Kong lamented, "It seems that I am indeed getting old. Young people these days are really monstrous." Under everyone's shocked gazes, Mo Qingyun put his hands behind his back and looked down at Li Xiaoyuan like a king. He asked, "Do you want to continue the battle? If you surrender, I will take the spoils and return." Li Xiaoyuan had a pained expression on her face when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. She stood up with difficulty and said unwillingly, "Mo Qingyun, don't be too complacent. I didn't lose to you because I wasn't strong enough, but because I lacked a powerful weapon." It seemed like Li Xiaoyuan believed that if he had a galaxy-grade weapon, the outcome would have been completely different. "You are welcome to challenge me at any time. Just remember to bring the stakes." In response to Li Xiaoyuan's unwillingness, Mo Qingyun said this before flying over to Sun Kong. When he saw Mo Qingyun fly over, Sun Kong announced the outcome of the battle and handed the spoils to Mo Qingyun. "I will take my leave now." After taking the spoils from Sun Kong, Mo Qingyun turned around and left. Just as Emo Qingyun was about to leave, a mid-level galaxy-grade martialist suddenly shouted at him, "Emo Qingyun, wait a moment. I want to challenge you." When Emo Qingyun heard the latter's words, he stopped in his tracks and looked at him with interest. He had not expected that someone would challenge him so quickly. This was an unexpected gain. If the stakes offered by the other party satisfied him, he might as well accept the challenge. In any case, the reason he fought with others was to win more resources so that it would be easier for him to cultivate in the future. Take out your wager. If I'm satisfied, I'll accept your challenge. After sizing up the other party, Emo Qingyun did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the martialist froze, as he was surprised by Emo Qingyun's request. He had only wanted to challenge Emo Qingyun, so he had not prepared any stake. There is no need for a bet between fellow disciples. Are you afraid? That person hesitated for a moment before mocking Emo Qingyun, wanting to provoke Emo Qingyun into fighting him. Don't try to goad me into a fight. It will only reveal your stupidity. After understanding that person's thoughts, Emo Qingyun lost interest. He ridiculed him and said, "If you want to fight with me, then come back after you've gathered enough money. If you can't even gather enough money, then don't come out and embarrass yourself." After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored the martialist and turned to walk out of the Heavenly Bull array. Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, the surrounding people were shocked and began to whisper to each other. This Emo Qingyun is so arrogant. He dares to humiliate Lu Yuanjie like that. You have Emo Qingyun's strength. You can also humiliate Lu Yuanjie like that. But Emo Qingyun's actions are too obvious. This is not a good thing for him. While the surrounding people were in awe of Emo Qingyun, they were also worried about Emo Qingyun. Seeing the people around him pointing fingers at him, Lu Yuanjie's face turned ugly. He felt a strong sense of humiliation. "Emo Qingyun, I was wondering how capable you were. It turns out that you're just a cowardly rat." Lu Yuanjie's face was full of mockery as he insulted Emo Qingyun. He wanted to force Emo Qingyun to challenge him. Seeing Lu Yuanjie's provocation, Emo Qingyun stopped again. Coldness flashed in his eyes. He said, "Since you want to challenge me so much, I will give you a chance. Now, I want to challenge you to a life and death battle. If you don't dare to accept, then shut up." A life and death battle. Emo Qingyun wanted to have a life and death battle with Lu Yuanjie. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people were shocked. Emo Qingyun's actions were too crazy. One had to admit that Emo Qingyun's move was very effective. It directly cut off Lu Yuanjie's path of retreat. If Lu Yuanjie did not dare to accept the challenge, he would lose all his face. He would never have the face to see anyone again. "Fine, I will challenge you." Lu Yuanjie was furious. He chose to challenge Emo Qingyun. His eyes flashed with coldness. Seeing Lu Yuanjie's action, Emo Qingyun sneered. He was very satisfied with Lu Yuanjie's performance. To avoid such meaningless challenges, he needed to make an example out of Lu Yuanjie. He needed to let some people know the consequences of challenging him. Seeing that Lu Yuanjie had accepted the challenge, Emo Qingyun walked towards Sun Kong and said, "Senior, please uphold justice for us and issue us a letter of challenge to a battle to the death. You two brats, you have to think carefully. Once a life and death battle contract is given, there is no going back." Hearing Emo Qingyun's request, Sun Kong's expression turned serious. He looked at Emo Qingyun in shock. He did not expect Emo Qingyun's actions to be so crazy. He actually wanted to have a life and death battle with Lu Yuanjie. "I have thought it through. Senior, please do it." In response to Sun Kong's question, Emo Qingyun looked serious and nodded at Sun Kong. Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, Lu Yuanjie hesitated for a moment. He gritted his teeth and said, "I have also thought it through. I am willing to give you a life and death battle contract." Sigh. Seeing Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie's firm attitude, Sun Kong could not help but sigh. He gave the two of them a life and death battle contract. As an elder of the Skybull Mountain sect, he naturally did not want to see the younger generation of the sect kill each other. However, he also knew very well that the rise of every powerhouse would trample on countless corpses. This kind of thing was inevitable. After a short while, a document that shone with a bloody light appeared in front of Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie. The life and death battle contract has been formed. The two of you can drip your blood on it and complete the life and death battle contract. Seeing the bloody document appear, Sun Kong's expression turned solemn. He urged Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie. Hearing Sun Kong's words, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate to cut his finger and drip a drop of blood on the life and death battle contract. As Emo Qingyun's blood dripped down, the life and death battle contract flashed with a bloody light. A small blood-red sword flew out from it. The small blood-red sword flew out and landed in Emo Qingyun's hand. It emitted a mysterious power. At the same time, Lu Yuanjie also dripped a drop of blood on the life and death battle contract. Immediately after, a small blood-red sword flew out of the life and death battle contract and landed in Lu Yuanjie's hand. Chapter 2459. When they saw that Emo Qingyun was about to fight to the death, the Sky Bull array fell silent. No one dared to make a sound. The battle between Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie was different from before. The price to pay for this battle was too high. Who do you think will emerge victorious between Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie? Emo Qingyun just fought an intense battle, so he is no longer in peak condition. Lu Yuanjie has a higher chance of winning. I don't think so. Instead, I think that Lu Yuanjie's odds are stacked against him. Looking at the two people in the fighting area, everyone whispered to each other and expressed their different opinions. Emo Qingyun, you are courting death. You will soon know the price of being arrogant. When he saw Emo Qingyun and Lu Yuanjie fighting to the death, Li Xian's expression turned gloomy as he spoke furiously. Originally, he thought that if Li Xiaoyuan made a move to deal with Emo Qingyun, it would definitely be a cinch. He had never expected that Emo Qingyun would be so strong that even Li Xiaoyuan wouldn't be a match for him. Di Qiu, who was standing beside Li Xian, also had a cold expression on his face as he said, Lu Yuanjie's strength is comparable to Big Brother's. He is already comparable to a peak galaxy-grade powerhouse. Emo Qingyun actually dared to fight him to the death. He really brought this upon himself. Emo Qingyun remained indifferent as everyone watched him nervously. You can make the first move. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to retaliate after I make my move. Lu Yuanjie was so angry that his body started to tremble when he heard Emo Qingyun's words that he started to tremble. Emo Qingyun was really looking down on others. Even Di Nai and the others wouldn't have dared to say such a thing when they fought against him. Since you are courting death, I will fulfill your wish. Lu Yuanjie shouted angrily as he made the first move and rushed towards Emo Qingyun. As Lu Yuanjie rushed towards Emo Qingyun, he quickly formed a handprint and pointed it at his forehead. Following that, the handprint expanded rapidly and turned into the shadow of a golden ox. Roar! A deafening cry came from the mouth of the golden bull shadow. Then, the golden ox shadow emitted a golden light and merged into Lu Yuanjie's body. In just a short while, Lu Yuanjie had grown to a height of several dozen feet, turning into a giant the size of a small mountain. Mad bull charge! Lu Yuanjie clenched his fists and punched towards Emo Qingyun with a terrifying aura. As Lu Yuanjie swung his fists, a terrifying golden saint power quickly gathered on his fists. Facing Lu Yuanjie's attack, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately retreated. Although he could withstand Lu Yuanjie's punch, he did not want to do so. This was because he realized that Lu Yuanjie's double fist attack was actually just a feint. Even if he took the attack head-on, it wouldn't be of much use. He wouldn't be able to neutralize Lu Yuanjie's true attack. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times, and he pulled away from Lu Yuanjie, avoiding Lu Yuanjie's fist. Bang! As Emo Qingyun dodged, Lu Yuanjie's fists landed on the ground and exploded with a deafening sound. As the deafening sound rang out, the aura of the bull shadows surged out from Lu Yuanjie's fists. When the golden ox shadows appeared, they charged towards Emo Qingyun and caught up with Emo Qingyun in the blink of an eye. Facing the attack of the golden ox shadows, Emo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He said to himself calmly, "His double fist attack is just a feint to confuse the enemy. These golden ox shadows are the real killer move." Dragon Source Overlord Body. Seeing the golden ox shadows getting closer and closer, Emo Qingyun stopped dodging and took the initiative to meet the golden ox shadows head-on. The Dragon Source Overlord Body was activated, and a terrifying thunderbolt territory formed outside of Emo Qingyun's body. Bang bang bang, as the thunderbolt territory formed, the golden ox shadows crashed into it, creating deafening sounds. Because there were too many golden ox shadows and their attacks were too violent, the thunderbolt territory could not stop them. After breaking through the obstruction of the thunder domain, the golden ox shadow's attack didn't slow down. It continued to charge towards Emo Qingyun. "Break for me!" Seeing the golden ox shadows break through the thunderbolt territory and arrive in front of him, Emo Qingyun immediately swung his fists to meet the attack. As Emo Qingyun swung his fists and attacked, the golden bull shadows that were charging at him were crushed one by one. After destroying the golden ox shadows, Emo Qingyun's attacks did not slow down and he began to counterattack Lu Yuanjie. Seeing Emo Qingyun charging towards him, Lu Yuanjie immediately jumped and arrived above Emo Qingyun. Mad Ox Falling Sky. When he arrived above Emo Qingyun, Lu Yuanjie's body glowed with a golden light, like a huge meteorite. Then, Lu Yuanjie's body fell and smashed towards Emo Qingyun. Facing Lu Yuanjie's attack, Emo Qingyun immediately took a step back and dodged Lu Yuanjie's direct attack. Boom! As Lu Yuanjie's body fell, the ground immediately caved in, creating an earth-shattering sound. What surprised Emo Qingyun was that when the ground caved in, there was a terrifying suction force. Under this suction force, Emo Qingyun felt that his body was about to be sucked into the ground. Demonic Ox Sweeping Slash. Seeing Emo Qingyun getting closer and closer, Lu Yuanjie clasped his hands together and formed a huge fist. Then, Lu Yuanjie turned his body and swept towards Emo Qingyun like a fiery wheel. "I can't dodge it." Seeing Lu Yuanjie's move, Emo Qingyun's expression tensed up and a cold look appeared on his face. He said, "Since I can't dodge it, let's fight head-on." Dragon Source Overlord Body. Bloodline Oppression. Holy Glory Superpower Ignite. In the face of Lu Yuanjie's overbearing attack, Emo Qingyun once again revealed some of his trump cards to increase his strength. A terrifying wave of flames and bloodline power erupted from Emo Qingyun's body. Bang bang bang. Under the attack of the Holy Glory Superpower, balls of flames appeared on Lu Yuanjie's huge body. Under the burning of these flames, Lu Yuanjie's body immediately trembled and he looked like he was in pain. Before Lu Yuanjie could suppress the pain on his body, a terrifying bloodline power came crashing down on him. He was shocked to find that under this bloodline power, the blood in his body began to flow in the opposite direction. Puff! As his blood began to flow in the opposite direction, Lu Yuanjie's blood became chaotic. He couldn't help but vomit blood. Then, the aura that Lu Yuanjie exuded weakened a lot. Not only that, but the power of Lu Yuanjie's superpower was also greatly weakened. Seeing this, Lu Yuanjie's face was filled with shock and he looked at Emo Qingyun in fear. He didn't expect Emo Qingyun to have such a trump card. This was beyond his expectations. The current situation was not looking good for him. Chapter 2460. Saint Demon Star Shattering Fist. Emo Qingyun clenched his right fist and took the initiative to meet Lu Yuanjie's fist. When the two fists collided, there was a loud bang and a terrifying shockwave of Saint Force. When the shockwave of Saint Force appeared, Lu Yuanjie's body flew out and landed heavily on the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They felt that it was a little unreal. Lu Yuanjie, who had the upper hand, was sent flying by Emo Qingyun's punch in the blink of an eye. One punch. Emo Qingyun only used one punch, and he sent Lu Yuanjie flying. It's too scary. Is this his true strength? Is he really a new disciple? Lu Yuanjie must have been careless. That's why Emo Qingyun was lucky enough to counterattack. Impossible, they were fighting head-on just now. Emo Qingyun didn't use any trick. Seeing Lu Yuanjie flying out, everyone was shocked and saw Emo Qingyun in a new light. They now realized that they had underestimated Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun's strength was much stronger than they had imagined. While everyone was still in shock, Lu Yuanjie stood up with great difficulty and looked at Emo Qingyun with a shocked expression. At this moment, Lu Yuanjie had returned to his original state, his arms drooping down weakly. From the looks of it, his arms were already crippled by Emo Qingyun's punch. Seeing Lu Yuanjie's miserable state, the surrounding people's expressions immediately became heavier. Emo Qingyun's attack was too ruthless, directly crippling Lu Yuanjie's arms without any room for negotiation. It seems that you can't fight anymore, the battle should be over. Looking at Lu Yuanjie's drooping arms, Emo Qingyun's expression turned cold, and he rushed towards Lu Yuanjie. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times, and he was in front of Lu Yuanjie, throwing a punch at him. Emo Qingyun's punches were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he had thrown out dozens of punches, and they all landed on Lu Yuanjie's body. At this moment, Lu Yuanjie, whose arms had been crippled, had become Emo Qingyun's punching bag. Seeing such a scene, some people couldn't help but close their eyes, not wanting to see Lu Yuanjie being beaten up. Emo Qingyun, that's enough. Are you really going to kill Lu Yuanjie? Seeing that Lu Yuanjie couldn't resist Emo Qingyun's attack at all, Dinai asks discontentedly. Hearing Dinai's question, Emo Qingyun stops attacking. He turns around and looks at Dinai, saying, Lu Yuanjie and I have signed a duel to the death. Of course we won't stop until one of us dies. Aren't you asking nonsense? After saying so, Emo Qingyun ignores Dinai and continues to attack Lu Yuanjie. Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, Dinai's face becomes even more unsightly. He immediately reproaches Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun, even though you've signed a duel to the death, you're still fellow disciples of the same school. Why do you have to fight to the death? Dinai, everybody understands. Don't say such hypocritical words. Seeing Dinai reproach him again and again, Emo Qingyun retorts unhappily. He then says, If you can't stand it, you can come in and fight me. Whether you can save Lu Yuanjie from my hands or not will depend on whether you have the ability or not. Seeing Emo Qingyun's overbearing attitude, Dinai's eyelids twitch and his face darkens. Perhaps because he is afraid of Emo Qingyun's power, Dinai doesn't join the fight even though he is displeased. Seeing that Dinai no longer interrupts, Emo Qingyun ignores him and continues to attack Lu Yuanjie. In order to prevent others from interfering, Emo Qingyun attacks again. His attacks are obviously more ruthless. Faced with Emo Qingyun's ruthless attacks, Lu Yuanjie's injuries immediately worsen. With a terrified expression, he says, Emo Qingyun, we're fellow disciples of the same school. You can't kill me. If you kill me, you'll be killing fellow disciples of the same school. You'll be punished according to the school rules. At this moment, Lu Yuanjie finally panics. He wants to use this to intimidate Emo Qingyun. Unfortunately, Emo Qingyun doesn't buy it at all. He doesn't take his words to heart at all. Without waiting for Lu Yuanjie to finish speaking, Emo Qingyun sends out a palm strike, fiercely hitting the top of Lu Yuanjie's head. Pooh! After being hit by Emo Qingyun's palm strike, Lu Yuanjie's eyes widen. With an unwilling expression, he falls to the ground and dies. After killing Lu Yuanjie with one palm strike, Mo Qingyun doesn't leave immediately. Instead, he raises his head and looks around. He shouts, "Who else wants to challenge me? Step forward now." Faced with Mo Qingyun's gaze, the surrounding people all lower their heads. They are afraid that Mo Qingyun will provoke them. Seeing everyone's reaction, Mo Qingyun curls his lips disdainfully. He then looks at Di Nai and asks, "Di Nai, you seem to be very dissatisfied with me. Why don't you come out and fight me?" "You humph!" Hearing Mo Qingyun's provocation, Di Nai immediately becomes furious. His face is filled with fury. However, taking Mo Qingyun's strength into consideration, Di Nai gives a cold snort and turns him around. After Di Nai's action, some people's gazes on him change greatly. In their eyes, Di Nai is afraid of Mo Qingyun. "Since no one is coming out to challenge me, I'll leave now." Seeing that no one is speaking, Mo Qingyun drops these words and turns around to leave. After a while, when Mo Qingyun leaves the Heavenly Bull formation, everyone takes a deep breath. Just now, under Mo Qingyun's imposing manner, they all felt an enormous pressure that made it hard for them to breathe. This guy is ruthless. Looks like I'll have to avoid provoking him in the future. Looking at Lu Yuanjie's dead body on the ground, Li Xiaoyuan shows an expression of lingering fear. He has made a clear decision. He has realized that Mo Qingyun is not someone to be trifled with. At least, he is not someone he can afford to provoke. After seeing Mo Qingyun's power, Li Xiaoyuan shows an indifferent expression. He warns Li Xian, "You listen to me. Don't provoke Mo Qingyun in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for ignoring our blood ties and your life." "Yes, yes." Hearing Li Xiaoyuan's warning, Li Xian immediately nods in response. He understands Li Xiaoyuan's meaning. Now that Lu Yuanjie has been killed, even if Li Xiaoyuan does not warn him, he will not dare to provoke Mo Qingyun again. He knows very well that since Mo Qingyun dared to kill Lu Yuanjie, he will also dare to kill the two of them. Mo Qingyun is really good. Today, he has become famous in one battle. From now on, his fierce name will spread far and wide in the sect. Seeing Mo Qingyun leave the Heavenly Bull formation, Zhou Ting shows an expression of admiration. He cannot help but sigh with emotion. Unlike Zhou Ting and Li Xiaoyuan, Di Nai sees Mo Qingyun's performance and his face becomes increasingly gloomy and cold. He thinks to himself, "That brat is too powerful. It's too difficult for me to get rid of him in a head-on confrontation in the school. I have to make him leave the school." Chapter 2461. A short while later, in the tourist pavilion, Mo Qingyun had returned directly after leaving the Sky Bull array. When he arrived at the entrance of the tourist pavilion, Mo Qingyun stopped in his tracks without any expression on his face. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before taking out a wooden board and starting to carve some words on it. Before long, a row of words was carved on the board. The contents were roughly as follows: "I welcome anyone to challenge me at any time, but I will only accept two types of challenges. The first type is a wager. Before you challenge me, prepare the wager. The second type is a battle to the death." After sizing up the wooden board, Mo Qingyun placed it in front of the door to inform those who wanted to challenge him. "I hope they won't be too scared to challenge me because of Lu Yuanjie." After placing the wooden board in front of the door, Mo Qingyun had an expectant look on his face as he thought to himself. In his opinion, if he scared those people, he would suffer a great loss. When Mo Qingyun returned to the tourist pavilion, he saw Shi Wei and the other two instructing the servants to tidy up the mansion. Under the instructions of Shi Wei and the other two, the servants were cleaning and tidying up the courtyard in an orderly manner. When he saw this scene, Mo Qingyun nodded his head in satisfaction. It seemed like appointing Shi Wei and the other two was the right choice. When he saw that things were on the right track, Mo Qingyun didn't continue to observe. He lifted his feet and returned to his room. When Mo Qingyun returned to his room, he took out his spoils of war and studied them carefully. The first thing that Mo Qingyun picked up was the devil blood ox horn that was related to the sky bull inheritance. This was something that could be used in the short term. Once the sky bull inheritance opened and he entered the land of inheritance, he would be able to use this devil blood ox horn. When he held the devil blood ox horn in his hand, it emitted a powerful blood aura that corroded Mo Qingyun's blood. When he sensed the corrosion of the blood aura, Mo Qingyun immediately used his bloodline power to suppress it. What a powerful blood energy! If it weren't for the fact that my bloodline is strong enough, I would have been infected by it. Mo Qingyun was startled when he sensed the overbearing invasion of the bloody aura. Then, he rejoiced. The bloody aura of this demonic blood ox horn is so strong. It seems like its original body was at least a celestial domain grade when it was alive. With this discovery, Mo Qingyun had great expectations for the secret realms related to the devil blood bull horns. What I need to do next is to obtain the right to inherit the heavenly bull. After Mo Qingyun put away the demon blood ox horn, he thought for a while and had a clear goal. After putting away the devil blood bull horn, Mo Qingyun picked up the galaxy ice crystal and carefully examined it. As expected of a million-year-old Milky Way ice crystal, the Milky Way power contained in it is comparable to the power contained in 10 billion medicinal crystals. Mo Qingyun released a wisp of soul power to sense the Milky Way ice crystal. Then, he sighed with joy. The value of this million-year-old Milky Way ice crystal was immeasurable. It was comparable to his entire fortune. This is a continent in a 2-star system after all. Even the younger generation of a 1-star power can't compare to me in terms of foundation. After understanding the value of the galaxy ice crystal, Mo Qingyun became even more aware of the disparity between him and Li Xiaoyuan and the others. After realizing that his foundation was insufficient, Mo Qingyun became even more eager to head to a higher plane. Linglong is cultivating in the mysterious sky sacred tribe, so the cultivation resources there must be even more abundant. I have to cultivate even harder, otherwise I will be left far behind by her. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun put away the galaxy ice crystal and looked at the sun-shaped stone key. When he held the stone key in his hand, an astonishing flaming power emanated from it. What a familiar feeling! Mo Qingyun was stunned when he sensed the flaming power within the stone key. His curiosity about the sun stone key increased. Then, Mo Qingyun became even more serious as he examined the sun stone key. If my guess is correct, the flaming power within the sun stone key should be of the same origin as my sun flames. After making this discovery, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of anticipation. He couldn't help but think to himself, the Sun Nine Temples Nebula technique that I cultivate will soon reach its limit. If I can obtain a stronger flaming cultivation technique from the Sun Stone Key's secret realm, it should be a good result. With this thought, Mo Qingyun put away the Sun Stone Key and began to plan in his mind. While Mo Qingyun was planning in his mind, he revealed a satisfied smile. He had gained a lot from this battle. While Mo Qingyun was looking at his spoils, news of him had also spread in the Skybull Mountain sect. At this moment, in Zhou Ping's courtyard, a young man had a respectful expression as he reported to an old man about Mo Qingyun. This young man was Zhou Ping's grandnephew, Zhou Ting. What? Mo Qingyun killed Lu Yuanjie? After listening to Zhou Ting's report, Zhou Ping's eyes widened. He was shocked. Then, Zhou Ping stood up with an anxious expression and said, Mo Qingyun is in trouble this time. I have to find the sect master immediately and think of a way to resolve this matter. Seeing Zhou Ping's anxious expression, Zhou Ting showed a puzzled expression and asked, Uncle, although Lu Yuanjie is talented, Mo Qingyun killed him. The consequences shouldn't be so serious, right? You don't know. Hearing Zhou Ting's puzzled words, Zhou Ping frowned and shook his head. He said in a deep voice, Lu Yuanzhi's background is very powerful. He is the descendant of an old friend of the Great Elder. It is said that he came from the Divine Wood continent and cultivated in our sect to train his mind. If the Great Elder knows about this, he will be furious. So there is such a secret. After hearing Zhou Ping's words, Zhou Ting's expression turned serious. He knew the seriousness of the matter. The forces on the Divine Wood continent, even if they were second-rate, were not comparable to the Sky Bull sect. Thinking of this, Zhou Ting felt worried for Mo Qingyun. He secretly said, Mo Qingyun, you are in big trouble this time. I hope you can get through it. Okay, I will go find the sect master now. You go tell Mo Qingyun not to wander around. After explaining to Zhou Ting, Zhou Ping left his residence with an anxious look on his face. Hearing Zhou Ping's words, Zhou Ting did not stay and immediately went to find Mo Qingyun. As long as Mo Qingyun stayed in the Taurus Pavilion, even the Great Elder would not be able to deal with him. Half an hour later, Zhou Ting anxiously arrived at the entrance of the Taurus Pavilion. When Zhou Ting arrived, the entrance of the Taurus Pavilion was filled with people, blocking the entrance. Seeing this scene, Zhou Ting immediately had a headache. He thought to himself, Mo Qingyun really knows how to cause trouble. He's not willing to stop for even a moment. Zhou Ting sighed in his heart as he pushed through the crowd and came to the entrance of the pavilion. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.